What's going on, everyone? How are we all doing this evening? Oh man, my camera's all messed up. What is going on? I'm just not prepared for this. Hey, there we go. There we go, that's better. Camera's all messed up there. I was still in D&D mode. Yeah. So, I still gotta set things up because I'm just still kind of getting myself collected here. So, you know, we're gonna, you know, doing this in the way that we do it. Because we're gonna be reviewing this, and more like D&D channel. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is D&D&Chill. You know, listening to some awesome lo-fi. Once again, I'm just gonna post that in there. This is the medieval lo-fi YouTube channel, and I do listen to this a lot in my own spare time. So, when do I take my pants off? Whenever you want, buddy. Go ahead. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna see if I can pull something up and see if it actually will work on this. We're gonna see. Gotta turn down some audio settings. Can I get this to work? All right. Pop out of there. Switch this to... I don't know if that'll work. Yeah, let's lock that. Let's capture it on this one. Hey, look at that. That worked. For those that don't know, in my first 15 stream, I started playing this game called Dwarf Romantic, and I've been playing it a lot. I've been playing it a hell of a lot, and I'm gonna play it some more today while we're chatting. So yeah, that'll be part of today's stream, is sitting here with this. I'm just gonna move this over a bit, kind of get things lined up. D&D&Chill stream pulls out Dwarf Romantic. You're goddamn right. All right. Yeah, because honestly, this is such a fun little game, and it very much gives me such huge D&D vibes. By the way, I do want to kind of show off this little map that I've been building. So if you are unfamiliar, which I think everybody in here who's watching probably caught my my stream on Thursday, but it's a game called Dwarf Romantic. It's basically just like you get tiles here on the right, and they're random, and they can either have stuff like forests or fields or grain. They could be grasslands, houses. They could have water features and railroads and stuff like that. And then you can place them and rotate them. And when you're actually playing the main game, you get points for placing biomes next to each other. So you know, if you place trees next to each other, they glow and you can kind of see where they're connected. So there is, at least in the main game, there is a benefit to actually linking everything together. I'm in sandbox mode. I've been playing this one just in my own free time. And because of that, I don't get points anymore, but I do still try to at least stick to some degree of like keeping some things together. So for example, if we zoom out, you know, up here, you can see I have a fairly large lake system with some boats. This train track, I do have to delete this. I have to delete one of these pieces later, or I'm gonna delete like here or here. Maybe I'll do that when I get this 3-track here. You know what? Actually, I'm not even gonna talk about it. Hold on. We're just gonna do this. We're gonna place these right up here, and then in sandbox mode, you can delete pieces. So I'm gonna delete this track. We're gonna put this. Why can't I put that in there? What the fuck? Why can't I not put that in there? Do I need this? No. I should be able to put that. It's the same as that. Hold on. Oh, you know what I think I actually need to do? I think I need to get rid of this one. Oh, you know why? It's because I also need to get rid of that. That's why. There we go. I want to kind of continue this train further up. But yeah, so we have like little boats. We got little boats up in here, and they'll follow the streams and rivers and, you know, head down into these other ways. I got a small city over here, a little town building up. Or I got a couple little towns over here. But yeah, this is like one of the major cities, and then one of my main fields of grain. I got another little water feature down here. This kind of spidered off into nothing. Then I have another one of the larger cities that's slowly getting built out further up, with a couple smaller water features in and around. And then we have one of the bigger train tracks. So, you know, kind of extends around. I actually connected these two pieces in here a bit ago. And then we got some more water features, but this train track actually goes pretty far over to here, and we got some disjointed water features up and around here. But we're starting to get into like ashlands, is at least what I'm calling them. These like darker grounds with the reds and golds. I love these. Got this little pond here, some marshes, and then we come down here. This is actually my biggest water feature on here. So it all started out with this little island community, and it kind of trailed over to here, broke apart a bit, and then we got a fairly large lake. So these little boats will travel all up and down here and through these ways. We got another city starting to build up over here. And then over here we have our biggest grain fields. So this is our biggest grain fields, and it's supported by our largest city development and our also largest singular water feature. So this is like the main city area. This is all their food source. Then we come down here. We got some smaller stuff. This is all one big water system. It's only disconnected over to here. But these two waterways are fairly large, and this is actually still building. This is a fairly big railway system that's kind of intermingled up into here, and we got one that just kind of curtails around there. Here's the largest forest, so it actually extends all the way down here and comes up the entire coastline. This was also one of my large grain fields with lavender and crimson and gold. So the only color that it didn't, or no, it does have it, yeah. This is like opalescent. So but yeah, this is gonna get filled out. I keep putting more trees along this edge. I want this to be a huge forest that connects down into here, and And then down here along the bottom, which is where I've kind of been working recently, is my longest singular railroad track, which comes from over here and kind of zigzags and is all over this place. So because there's no industry, there's only like small houses and stuff. My mind is more that the railway represents industry and mining and stuff like that. So that's kind of the design, at least in my mind, with all of this, is like we're starting to get into the ashlands. So this is where like a lot of mining is going to take place, because as you can see, I have some ended trackways, but this splits off into 3. I have 2 up here. So this is going to be like a big railway system that kind of carries stuff throughout. You know, it brings it over to here. Stuff gets loaded into the river and is brought over here. This helps supply it out that way. This allows it to come down here, and then it sends up here to these railroads. And then these railroads carry it up into the towns. So yeah, I'm just coming up with my own like lore and stuff. And actually, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to play with this on stream today and continue building it out, is because while this is like its own game and its own thing, I think this could just be an excellent tool for map makers and world builders. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this, and you can kind of like really just immerse yourself and, you know, plan things out and think about it, especially in creative mode, because you can go down here and you can create, you know, matching tiles that would let you really build out certain areas. But one of the cool things is that when you do kind of allow yourself to just let things happen naturally and, you know, accept the random nature of the tiles that are drawn, it really gives the world its own feeling. You know, you're not sitting there having to like really think every aspect of it out, but you're just kind of going with the flow and, you know, building whatever shows up. And I've very much been enjoying that. So, but you know, I will admit there were some places where I had a lot more influence, where I actually took time to copy certain areas. So for example, with this large lake feature, one of the things that I did for a bit was I copied, I went in here to the eyedropper and I just picked out a plot of water. Just a full-on plot of water, and wanted to build out this lake to be very specific, because I had an idea in mind for it and I wanted it to be something. So, you know, just like if you were making a D&D map and you were, you know, just maybe say rolling the dice, because there's a way of making maps where you take a big piece of paper and you take a handful of dice and you just throw them onto there, and it would be something like the D4s are mountains and the D6s are forests, and the D8s are towns and like small little villages and stuff, and D10s and D100s are going to be bigger capitals. And so there's, you know, there's all these things that like D20s are, you know, main monumental points. So there's all these ways that you can do that, but you can always just drop that stuff in yourself. And that's kind of why I love this game, is it, in creative mode, it does give you that opportunity to say, okay, I don't want to wait for this piece. I don't want to risk, you know, and granted, you could never risk it, I guess, but you can always just say, okay, I'm not going to wait for this piece. I'm going to pull this piece from somewhere else. I'm going to put it here because I know what I want. But right now, I know that I want to put this forest down here, because as you can see, when I put this up against there, you can see just how big this forest is. It's actually so big that you can't see the top. You cannot see the top and the tail at the same time. and I want it to be bigger, and I also want it to connect down to here. So we're gonna put a piece there and hopefully connect that tonight. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to show off this game a little bit this evening while we chat about D&D, because I'm just absolutely in love with it, and I want to share that with the community. Where's this gonna go? This is gonna go over here. I have not thought about like what I would name these places. No. And I think that's because like I'm not sure that it's not done yet. I think that's the one thing for me is like it's nowhere near done. And I don't think it actually ever will be done. But because of that, I don't know. I just haven't really put a lot of that thought into it, because giving it a name, I feel like would take away some of that little charm. So at least in my own mind, maybe eventually once once things have panned out more, and maybe I'll pull up a generator or something and start naming stuff. Like obviously this lake kind of looks like a butterfly if you look at it a certain way, like if you split it straight down. So this could be Butterfly Lake. Yeah, I don't know. I will say though, one thing that actually confuses the shit out of me, I actually played this level from this perspective this entire time. The other day when my nephew was over here, he turned it around like this, and I walked in and was like, where the fuck is everything? Like, I got so confused about looking at this map until I realized I was looking at it from the wrong way, because I only ever look at this map from this angle, and it's just because this was the default angle that it like plotted me on here. So I've just been like this the whole time, and once I saw the lake, I was like, oh, this is an issue. Like, I need to resolve this. But yeah. So, like I said, just we're gonna play a little bit with this and talk about what we have here on the left, and just kind of hang out tonight, because it was a long day at work, and I just kind of want to relax and just chat and hang out. So, but yeah. So what this is, what you see on the left here, this is a survey that was put out by Elderbrain. If you are unfamiliar with Elderbrain, they are at elderbrain.com. They have their own Discord, they have their own website, but they put out a bunch of D&D. Oh God, what have I done? Damn it. I minimized all of my windows because I shook one window, and I feel like an idiot. Damn it. There you go. What the okay, hello. Why are you messed up? There we go. Yeah, so if you're unfamiliar with Elderbrain, this is what you're looking at. They make their own content. They have a lot of homebrew stuff. Their main thing is Crown of the Oathbreaker, as it says, a dark adventure campaign through a cursed kingdom and the Fey realms. So I've been a supporter of them for a while. Been using a lot of their maps. Actually, that was actually one of the things that I did buy off of them, was some map packs and various products of theirs, but been following them for a bit, and they had this survey that was just trying to really gather information from the community about kind of who everyone is, and let me see if I can. Wait, I'm missing another window, damn it. See if I can pull up the, say where it was. Here it is. A series of surveys that formed our adventures, a setting and adventure based on community feedback. So yeah, so here it is. Hi, I started writing D&D modules under the name Elder Brain and released my first adventure just recently, Year of the Rogue Dragons, created exclusively for Dragon player characters. This has been a culmination of over 30 years since of playing D&D since I started with first edition. That explains the outer part of my name. So yeah, basically with this was to take this survey and try to garner the results just about every aspect of an adventure module. So, and it was to really build up this idea of like, what is the best adventure module? Or sorry, best adventure, best D&D adventure. So let's pop that over here. Need to zoom out on here again. Yeah, there we go. All right, so the first bits of information here were basically just, you know, about whoever in general was taking the survey. So it was, you know, where are you located, which 77% were in North America. Can we get zoomed in on that a bit more, or is that gonna have to pull this over? That's fine. Let's just do this. There we go. I just got to figure out where to put this on my screen. Oh, you know what? Actually, I can just put that over here. That'll totally work. I got a second monitor for a reason. Let me just main menu there. Let me full screen this on my side. And then we'll just shrink that up a bit. Perfect. Yeah, so where are you located? How old are you? What gender do you identify as? And so, you know, obviously I would have answered basically the same things. You know, from North America, I am 31, so fall under this 31% category, and I'm a male, much like 80% of their demographics are. How many years have you been playing? I've been playing for roughly 10 years, so I would fall into that 23% category. And which role do you prefer? I prefer being a dungeon master. I like, and this was actually like, even though this was like one of the first questions, this was definitely one of the ones where I was like, you know, I can see getting this popping up. I can, you know, hold on, let me put my mouse up on that screen. No, not that window. I need the properties for this one. Oh, it is on capture. Okay, that's weird. I don't know why it wasn't showing up. Oh, I do know why. Yeah, there we go. So which role do you prefer? I like I said, Dungeon Daddy. Oh God. I can understand why people answered that, you know, they like being both, because I feel like as funny as it is, I think, you know, you want to have those choices of like, oh yeah, no, I don't mind being a DM, and you know, like I'm not just I don't just like being a player, I like being a DM too. I think in a lot of cases, I feel like that's quite big for it to be, you know, I like both, or I like being both, because if that was truly the case, I don't think Wizards of the Coast would be like shaking in their boots right now about there being a DM shortage. You know, it's one of those things that they talk about here and there, where it's like, oh, you know, we need more people to be DMs. Like we want more people to run games, and it's this big thing. And I just feel like this might be a little bit out of skew. How often do you use miniatures? Honestly, I forget how these were formatted to answer. Of like, I think it was like, you know, less often to more often. I honestly, it's been a bit since I took this, and I forget how this was formatted. But I personally don't use miniatures. If you watch this stream, if you have ever watched any of the D&D streams that I do with me and my groups, you know that we don't use traditional minis. I use a VTT. It's because I prefer having a digital medium so that I'm not having to, one, kind of lock myself down with, you know, do I need to play in person? You know, am I gonna have the one token that I need? Like, do I have this one particular goblin token that I need for this encounter I want to run? Whereas running on a VTT, or at least having a digital option, means that I can sit down and just say, you know, oh yeah, you know, let me just right click and, you know, copy and paste this, you know, this into a folder, and then I can pop it into my VTT, and I'm done. You know, I don't have to worry about that struggle of, do I or do I not have this piece of plastic here in my house. So what module formats do you use? PDF, softcover, hardcover, virtual tabletop. I use them all. Format doesn't matter, or I write my own adventures. Now, this one, I put PDF, and I put that I write my own adventures, and also virtual tabletop. But I want to be clear with this. When I say that I use virtual tabletop, what this is referring to, and I had to think back on this, because these results got posted recently, and I was kind of remembering back to it. But what this is referring to, the virtual tabletop option here, that is where, if you were running a game in, say, Fantasy Grounds, or you were running it in, what's the other one that I use? Shoot, I don't even remember anymore. But, you know, for example, the one that I use, Encounter Plus, you can actually have the module completely loaded in to that virtual tabletop, and you could run it out of there. So for example, it might be a little hard for me to see here, but I'll pull up the desk camera here in a second. Oop, button. Go. Oh, that's off angle. So, for example, there is my Rime of the Frost Maiden. So you can see the map that I have. You can see the tokens and all of that stuff. But one of the things about this is that I can go into Rime of the Frost Maiden and say, for example, my players, they just recently went to Dugan's Hole. I can tap Dugan's Hole, and right there, oh, that's so hard to see. Yeah, it's kind of, oh, you know what, actually, wow, I'm an idiot. I just thought about this. I was like, well, I could just mirror this over to my computer like I would run anything else. Close that, do this, do that, and air server. There we go. I just gotta open that up. We'll just, for the time being, put that over Dorfromantic. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this off. We're gonna put this on mirror mode so you can see what I'm accessing. But yeah, so as you can see on this map, I have all of these different little buttons. And oh, let me make that a little bigger for you. There you go. So as you can see on the map here, I have all these different buttons for each one of the different towns. And what I can do is I can just tap them and pull this up on the side. And this is actually going to have all of the information that I need to know for that town. And this is actually everything that is in the book. I can click this and I can see, you know, they have 1 out of 3 on friendliness, 1 out of 3 on services, and 1 out of 3 on comfort, versus somewhere like Bryn Shander, which has a 3 in everything. So Bryn Shander is going to be super friendly for the most part. They're going to have most of the services that are available in 10 towns, and they're going to have better levels of comfort. Whereas Dugan's Hole, they're not friendly. They have barely anything available, and you're not even really going to find like a comfortable place to sleep. Much like when the players went there in Bryn Shander, they were like, oh, you know, you could stay at the church, you can stay at the inn, you can stay at the Townmaster's Hall. In Dugan's Hole, it's like, well, you can sleep in some of the boats over there, and, you know, if you're lucky, there might be a blanket. So you have options like that. But the cool thing is that I can go into here and pull up everything that I need. I can pull up the map for it. I can pull up the quest, for example, about, you know, the 2 wolves and the mammoth. I can bring all of that up. I can also access the map in here, see what I need to see all of the bits and pieces. So this is what they actually were referring to in this when they said that it was a VTT. You know, do you prefer running a module on a VTT? And that's what they're referring to, because the thing is, in stuff like Fantasy Grounds, it's more common to do that. You actually just play a lot of your own stuff outside of the inside the virtual tabletop. Roll20 even does this, where you can have everything kind of pre-designed within there, and just, you don't even need a book, you don't need D&D Beyond or anything like that. I mean, I use 5e.tools. You don't even need something like that. You're just using whatever is available in the VTT. So that's what it is on there. I think that's why a lot of people say they don't use it, because you want to have those outside resources. I personally am not the biggest fan of soft cover books, just because I think they get degraded a lot faster. Now, I will admit, I do have a bunch of them because they're cheaper. Hardbacks are also, you know, much nicer. They are much bigger, and they look a lot nicer. But the problem is that they also are a lot heavier. They're a lot more expensive, and when they get damaged, it kind of hurts. So I try and avoid you know, buying a bunch of those, just because I don't want to have to really deal with, you know, the upkeep on a hardback book. Honestly, it's why I prefer PDF. And I, you know, obviously a huge chunk of people preferred that. So that makes total sense to me. You know, out of all the people that took the response, half of them say they use PDF and half of them say they write their own adventures, which is pretty much exactly where I was. You know, I like taking pre-existing modules. I like, you know, reworking them and converting them to my own wants and needs. And I feel like a lot of people, especially in today's climate, that's how they do it. You know, it's good to have some inspiration. It's good to have access to some extra things on the side. But at the end of the day, I kind of want to run my own show. Which virtual tabletop surface do you use the most? I put on there that I used Encounter Plus. That's obviously not going to show up on there. So I don't use virtual tabletop software. Strictly theater of the mind. So I don't use VTT software, strictly tabletop or theater of the mind, and or theater of the mind. Wait, what is the difference? I don't use VTT software, strictly tabletop and or theater of the mind. Yeah, I don't know why those are listed twice. Apparently, that's the biggest. Obviously I use Encounter Plus. So, but I think one of the things to keep in mind is this could also just be a reflection of Elder Mind's customer basis. This is definitely one of those things to consider when you're looking at results like this, is that this could just be a big reflection about the customer basis of Elderbrain. For how long do you prefer to play an adventure module? So this is in regards to sitting down and saying, okay, I'm going to run Lost Mines of Phandelver, or I'm going to run, Rime of the Frost Maiden or something like that. How often, like how long do you want that to last? Do you want it to be a one shot or a few short sessions, a few weeks, a few months, or a few years? If you know me and you know the games that I run, most of my stuff ends up lasting for multiple years. I tried doing a one shot and it's streamed out there. It's on my YouTube. It ended up lasting a few months. So I'm not the greatest at, coming up with stuff that is short modules and, is short planning things. So that's more of a me thing. But, for me, I generally prefer them to at least take months. If they take years, that's just part of the, that's part of the fun. All right. How often do you play? I play several times a week. Generally speaking, when it comes to D&D itself, I play, when it actually comes down to D&D itself, I play every Sunday, pretty much, the ones that are streamed here live, but I also play in a game every other Saturday, which is the library game that I've often talked about. And then I have recently started playing in a Pathfinder game, which is every other Wednesday. And then the Wednesdays outside of that game, I actually play in another game, which is a Marvel superhero RPG with the same group of people. So I am regularly playing at least twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. Now, if we're actually just strictly talking about D&D, it's 1.5 times a week, but still several times a week. How long does one of my game sessions last on average? Normally speaking, I try and start games around 5:30 and try and end around 9:30. I feel like 4 to 5 hours is kind of like the gold spot. Games that last longer, I feel like sometimes they will last longer out of necessity rather than out of the want and desire of everyone to have them lasting longer. In a lot of cases, I've had games that have lasted, 6-7 hours, and by that time everyone's looking at their watch, they're looking at the clock, they're wondering when the hell everything's gonna be done. There was one time back in the day when my friends and I got together and we met up here at my house and we started playing. I want to say we started playing around like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we did not stop until close to like 10-11 o'clock. We played for like 8 or 9 hours. It was this super grotesquely long session, and in the beginning, it's like, oh man, we could play for the whole day and it's going to be so much fun. And when you're starting to enter that, that 7th hour, you're starting to think to yourself like, oh man, like maybe I shouldn't be doing this. This is too much. So it is one of the big reasons why I try and limit my sessions down to where it's only, maybe 4 or 5 hours. If it goes a little long sometimes, hey, that's, just the reality sometimes. But I generally do try to stick to about 4 to 6 hours at most. Unfortunately, actually, my games at the local library can't even go that long. Unfortunately, we get together at 2:00 and the library closes at 5, so we actually have a very restricted amount of time that we can play on any given week. So there's actually a lot of times with that group where everybody tries to get there for 2:00, and you might have like one person show up a couple minutes late, but you really only have about like 2.5 hours to play, because we or even maybe a little bit longer than that, but realistically we're only playing for 2 hours and like 45 minutes, because we have to start cleaning up and be out of the library by 5:00. That's when the doors lock. That's when the team is leaving. So we got to show them respect. We're using their space to run our games, but we got to be out of there whenever they say so. So that's always a big factor for us. The games that I play on Wednesday nights with my friends, that's actually a very similar story, because most of us have jobs and we have lives, and we only get to play later in the evening whenever everybody's fully available. So we don't normally start playing until 9:30. And we normally kind of have to stop around 11:30, 12 o'clock. So it's one of those things where we're only playing for 2 or 3 hours, just because people got to go to sleep. People got to get up in the morning and go to work, and you got shit to do. You got kids to take care of, and that's the reality of it all. All right. Where do you get informed about D&D related topics online? Please choose your top 3. Product websites, Google, Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Twitter, Reddit, forum sites, YouTube, Twitch, and blog and news sites. So I believe that I put Reddit, YouTube, and Discord, but I also put blog and news sites, because I remember putting that one. Playing every other week, every so often being 6 hours is fine. I think it can be a factor for some groups. Playing weekly less time can make more sense. Yeah, so that is definitely one of the things. If you are able to play more often throughout if you're able to play once a week, running for 3 hours or so every week is actually like, I think, an ideal thing. If you play every other week, you try and strive for a little bit longer to keep everyone engaged. But yeah, I definitely, much like 60% of the people on here, I get almost all of my news for D&D from YouTube. I not even a question in that. I am right there with them. All of my news pretty much comes from YouTube for the most part. And other than that, I'm on Reddit, and I follow the different subreddits that talk about news or homebrew. The Unearthed Arcana one is constantly open on my second monitor while I'm going through and prepping for a session. This way, if I need something, or if I just happen to glance at something and it just really catches my eye, I can just quickly save that to somewhere. So yeah, that's YouTube is definitely the biggest one. All the contributors on there, Ted from Nerd Immersion, Jordan with a PH, let me shoot, I could probably, Matt Coville, let me see here, pull up my subscriptions. I watch Ed Greenwood. His stuff is pretty amazing. Yeah, 2 Minute Tabletop. He's got some good stuff. I love checking out all of his updates and his art. Big Dick Wizard 69. Yeah, XP to level 3. That's his content is amazing. Bob World Builder, he's one of the greatest. Where we got? Who else we got? Caffeine and Cantrips. I'm gonna shout this channel out real quick. Talking about some of our best ones. Hold on, let me pop this over here real quick. If you ever get a chance, check out this YouTube channel. I'm gonna link out to their channel. It's these two guys. I honestly couldn't even tell you their names. I think they do say their names in it, but oh yeah, Sean and Byron, that's it. They put out a podcast every week. It's about an hour or so long, but these guys have some of the best takes on shit, and I would love to work with them. I would love to just join them for one of their shows. But they have some of the best content, and a lot of their stuff is also very informative. What's worse than a TPK? This is talking about real life big bads, and not even like and literally real life big bads. Like, are you the player who just fucks around for the fun of it because you want to have this goofy fun and you don't care if it's going to hurt the rest of your party? Like, are you playing a fool just because? There was one, actually, I think it was this one, unboxing the expert archetype. They introduced the concept of a mechanic that blew me away. And I have been confounded with it, and I've been thinking about implementing it in my own campaigns. And it's something so simple, so like you kind of think like, yeah, why wouldn't you do that? And basically what it is, and I'll spoil it if you're planning on going and watching it, you'll get this little one early. But basically, if somebody is playing an expert class, if you're playing a rogue or a bard, or a ranger, or even really anybody who is an expert at something, because let's be real, you could be you could be a cleric, you could be a paladin, and maybe your expertise is holy practices. So the idea is that if your character is an expert at something, would it make sense for them to just have things that align with that expertise on a more general basis? And the example that they used was the players are out and they need a crowbar. Well, one of your players is a thief, and they're obviously an expert. They're a rogue. They are a thief. And the mechanic is basically that's right, the last time I was in town, I bought a crowbar. And they just have it. They are always prepared. Because the thing is, a crowbar only costs 2 gold. Okay? And if it's under 50 gold, and your character, and I would probably put more mechanical basis behind it, but it would be something like, if an item if a piece of adventuring gear is under 50 gold, you can claim to have bought it the last time you were in town, as long as you are an expert in that field. So as long as you have, say, expertise in something related to that. So if you had expertise in thieves' tools, or if you were proficient in thieves' tools, if that was part of your background, if you were a charlatan, or you were a thief or something like that, you could just say, you know what, that's right. The last time I was in town, I picked up a crowbar. Hold on. Subtract that 2 gold from your inventory, and just, you have a crowbar. So it kind of lends to this credence of like, no, I'm an expert in this. Of course I have a crowbar. Or, you know, it's like, oh, you know what? I bought one. Yeah, just recently. So here it is. You just pull it out of your bag. So it's very loose. It's very like freeing in that respect of like, you know, hey, you know, this is just something that your character has because this is the thing that they're really good at. And like I said, it's different. I kind of like the idea of allowing for that little bit of freedom with it. It's definitely not something that I would necessarily introduce on like a, you know, grand scheme of saying like, okay, everybody who is here has like something that they can do, but I would definitely allow it to be when, you know, hey, your character is highly skilled at this thing. This is something that they can have. What about when proficiency can change regularly? And that's the thing. I don't think I would base it off of proficiency. I would say this would be something if your character has a background in it. So, for example, let's look at the adventuring gear list. PHB 151. So this is all the stuff on the adventuring gear. Actually, can I, hold on, I just had the thought. Am I able to break this down into adventuring gear? I don't think so. No, because this is a, oh, maybe. You know what? Hold on. Let me see. Source. Let's filter this and let's just do. Let's clear all of this, and we're just gonna do the PHB. And actually, you know what? We'll grab the Dungeon Master's Guide as well. So here we go. Like, this is all the basic, these are all the basic mundane items. So I think that's probably going to be everything that is going to show up on there. But, you know, if you look at this, so let's take Iluna, for example. Iluna is a hunter. She has the Outlander background. She's a ranger. She has the Outlander background. So if the players were out and they were out there doing their thing, and they needed to set a trap for something, and it's like, okay, do we have anything that we can do this? Being that Iluna has that background, being that she is she's a ranger, she's a traveler, and she can hunt, I would not have a problem if she was like, oh, you know what? Hold on. I have a hunting trap with me. And, popping this out. It's 5 gold. Subtract, what's this I hear about traps? And just being able to say like, okay, yeah, you can set this up. And it wouldn't be something that you could just do all the time. It wouldn't be something where it's like, kind of like a Family Guy callback where it's like, I remember that time I bought 30 bags of caltrops. Mundane, yeah. So, and that's the thing, it's like, but in that moment when the realization pops up of like, shoot, we need a hunting trap but we don't have one, a ranger could very quickly say, it's like, oh wait, you know what, I have one of those. I don't use it that often and I almost forgot about it, but no, here it is. And just like approaching that scenario to say like, hey, the last time that we were in Lylon and we had, some time around, I would have bought one. We'll say that I bought one. And I was like, cool, I'm fine with that. And I like that because it lets those players have that moment where, oh yeah, no, I have this. Maybe something like a grappling hook, for example. If your character was a rogue and you were a thief, okay? And it's like, you know what? Hey, I I have a, you know, it's like you need to climb this massive cliff, and it's like, oh, you know what? I have a grappling hook. Let's use this. Only mundane items. I would honestly say only things on this adventuring gear. That is probably where I would leave it. It would be anything under 50 gold. And again, it's just gonna be stuff that is like in this moment, it would suit your character that they would have it. Like it makes sense that they would have it. You know, it doesn't necessarily make sense that a druid who spent all of their life in the forest and, you know, kind of living off of nature to have a hooded lantern, or maybe a hooded lantern, actually, that probably might be, but like sealing wax, okay? It's not really gonna make sense for, you know, a druid to carry sealing wax or to carry a set of merchant scales or something like that. But, you know, it would make sense for them to possibly carry around a climbing piton, you know, for if you wanted to, if you needed that for some reason. But yeah, definitely, you know, they go into it a little better than I can kind of explain here, but they don't have a ton of episodes. Yeah, they've only been putting these out for a few months. As you can see, I've watched through most of them, even the ones that don't show the progress bar. I think I actually watched those the whole way through, but I've been watching them for the past few months and just absolutely loving them. All right, so what other channels do I have here? Oh, where'd my window go? There it is. Oh, would you look at that? There's the best YouTube channel to follow, Casantino. You know, but yeah, Castlecaster, that's a good one. Who else we got in here? Who else we got? Constructed Chaos, that's actually a that's one of the streams that I follow. Crit Crab, if you want D&D stories. Critical Role, Beyond, D4 Deep Dive. What else we got? Dimension 20, you know, you gotta have them. D&D Shorts, you know, one of the greatest. D&D Weekly, he's only put up a couple videos, but I was kind of very curious about him. Double Crit Fail, if you want some good D&D cinematics. Dungeon Craft with Professor Dungeon Master. While he's very old school and has some hot takes, I do love his stuff. Dungeon Dudes, you know, can't get enough of those too. Dungeon Soup, only a couple videos on there, but I actually believe this is this isn't Ed Greenwood's. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about this. This was some animated videos. Oh, there's Ed Greenwood. Yeah, it's just under his name. Ed Greenwood, if you want to watch some of the stuff, like get some insight from one of the creators of D&D, 100% check out Ed Greenwood. He's hilarious. Evan Tier Games, Super Geek Mike. I couldn't tell you if I actually have him. We'll see if when I get down to the S's. Evan Tier Games. So if you're unfamiliar, Evan Tier puts out a lot of guides for D&D, but they put out a lot of just content in general. Yep. Some. I think this is actually a dice maker, if I'm not mistaken. No, okay, yeah. I forget who he is. Ghostfire Gaming, if you're familiar with like Aurora and some of the like campaign setting D&D Kickstarters, Ghostfire and their podcast, which I believe actually airs, I think it's airing tonight. What else we got? Oh, go watch Grandpa Reads. Yeah, Ed Greenwood, he's the best. Go watch Grandpa Reads the Comics. It's just this adorable old man that like calls everyone his grandkids and reads comics and just is all around positive. It's kind of, you know, the shit we need in this world. How to be a great GM. Obviously, one of the greats. Icarus Games, he does a lot of shorts. Indestructible, one of the more notorious figures in the D&D universe. Play Your Role. Joe Cat, great animator who does some D&D stuff. Jordan, but the PH is silent. If you want D&D lore, go after his channel. Again, one of the greatest. Who else we got? Legends of Evantris is actually one of the live streams that I watch. I love their shorts. They have some of the best humor in their games. What we got some more. Mastering Dungeons. This is another good one. If you are familiar with Ghostfire, this is actually one of the hosts from that hosts this. Teos Albadia and Sean Merwin. Sean Merwin is on the Ghostfire podcast as well, but the two of them do one together. So they're pretty funny, and I've been enjoying listening to them. Hey, Medieval Lo-Fi, that's what we're listening to. Mega Sploot, if you're unfamiliar, this is actually the YouTube channel for Wonder Draft and Dungeon Draft. Everyone uses that program, and I feel like it's one of those things where, like, I look at how ubiquitous Dungeon Draft has become to the D&D community, and I was there on the ground level when they first posted their Reddit post, when the guy who created it was like, hey, I'm making this map making software, would you guys be interested in this? And I was like, yes please, and got in on the ground level. Michael Gelfi Studios, if you want D&D music and sound effects, there you go. Mr. Ripper, again, kind of like Crit Crab, just amazing Reddit stories told by an awesome voice actor. My King, Nerd Immersion, Ted from Nerd Immersion. He is instrumental to my kind of like my whole format, actually. Like he's my idol. Nerdarchy. The two of them I've been watching for years now. They have amazing education on class builds and stuff. No Fun is a podcast and stream channel. He actually does a series where he will talk to, like, he'll actually do like one-on-one advice for his players. It's kind of how this stream actually started. No Not Ones, he does some content as well. Pack Tactics, if you're looking for information about D&D, that's a great channel. What do we got some more. Oh boy, Psychic Pebbles. Puffin Forest, he has his he animates a lot of his RPGs. There you go. And Roll of Law, if you want to listen to some D&D stuff from a lawyer, he was instrumental from the OGL, through the OGL, I should say. Saturday Morning RPG Show. This used to be the Saturday Morning D&D Show. It was hosted by Jordan from the Jordan But the PH is Silent channel, as well as Sir Lucian. That's right. So theirs is every Saturday. It's every Saturday morning, and I usually listen to it while I'm on my way to run D&D, or I listen to it while I'm at work. So I love their stuff. We got some more. You know what? I don't think I have Superbike. We'll get down to that. Sly Flourish, the Lazy Dungeon Master. He has awesome information if you are looking for easier ways to run games, looking for information just how to, prep better. Definitely check out Michael Shea. Steely Sam, he does a lot of shorts about like simple topics where he'll talk about like drow and stuff like that, or he'll talk about aboleths and give you some basic information just to give you an idea on stuff. Oh, look at that, Super Mike's channel, there we go. Oh, that's right. You know what? Now that I see his face, yeah, no, I actually just watched this video today while I was at work. Yeah, I didn't even think about that name, but no, yeah, I've been subscribed to him for a while, and he's a hell of a guy. Sword Coast Soundscapes, another one if you want some D&D music. Tabletop news, this is actually a big one that's going to be coming up soon. It's kind of starting to really build up and get some information on here. This is going to be like this is like going to be the IGN, but for tabletop community. And I'm very much looking forward to that. They're going to be trying to like get the stories, get them out there so that this way it's not like, oh, well, it's like Kotaku's one article about a tabletop thing. It's like this wants to be the news channel for tabletop information. So I actually joined their Kickstarter to help them out. Tabletop Adventure with the OG DM. I forget who this one was. Can't remember off the top of my head. Tabletop Notch. This is another live stream that I follow. They have some hilarious content. I love their shorts. Watching their stuff is great. Taking 20. This is one of the classic channels. It has pretty much everything that you could ask for, you know, how to be a better player, how to be a better DM, you know, tips and tricks, how you're doing stuff right, how you're doing stuff wrong. The character sheet on comicbook.com, I don't remember this one. Oh wait, no, okay, no, I remember him, that's right. He did a lot. I started following him during the OGL because he was doing a lot of talk about it. Oh, here we go. The DM layer. Luke Hart. I subscribe to his Patreon and get his newsletter, and one of the greatest. How to, you know, again, teaching people how to be a better DM, how to be a better player. The Once and Future Nerd, a not D&D but D&D kind of podcast. The Party. This is a D&D themed drama that actually just finished up. They just finished up episode 7. It was really good, actually. I don't normally like dramas like that, but that was actually really fun. The Rules Lawyer, another lawyer who plays D&D. Where we got now? The Dungeon Delver. Also, yeah, this is one of the OSR guys. He does a lot of the old school Renaissance stuff and talks about old modules and adventures. Todd Kenrick, if you know D&D and you've watched any of the official D&D content, you know Todd Kenrick because he is like the face of that community. There we go, Kevin Altman. Where do we go? Oh, there it is. I kept saying Rob. It's Ryan Doyle. Oh, I feel terrible. Yeah. The Verdigris Table, I actually just talked about him in one of my previous streams. So he does a lot of videos about tips and tricks, how to like prep and run certain modules from games. So been watching him. He has some pretty good stuff on his Patreon as well, so check him out. Waz 20, one of those again older channels about how to play D&D in general, tips and tricks and stuff like that. WebDM, same thing. Two old school players that have just been kind of, you know, moving up through the ranks over the years, offering their tips and tricks. Yeah, and then Zbashu, very last one, an animator who does a lot of D&D content as well. So, you know, this is kind of like my main thing. You know, I think that's why everyone has had that same thing of like, YouTube is one of the greatest ways to really get in touch with, you know, with your players and with the D&D community. So typically, where do you purchase D&D related products? Amazon or eBay, hobby or bookstores, online retailer or bookstore, D&D Beyond, WotC, WotC's main site, the DM's Guild, Drive Through RPG, Roll20 Marketplace, Kickstarter, and Patreon. So I believe on this one I put D&D Beyond, the DM's Guild, and Patreon. And even though I got actually a lot of stuff through Kickstarter, I get so much through Patreon because I follow so many people. And as it might not be like the best etiquette per se when it comes to following people on Patreon, I'm not gonna lie, I found it very beneficial, at least to my own needs, where I'll end up following somebody for even just a few days or weeks and seeing some of the content that they make, realizing that I want to get my hands on it, and I will support them. I'll throw them some money and sign up for their Patreon, get the things that I want, and then, you know, at the end of a few weeks, or, you know, after a couple days, I might cancel it and just, you know, reserve my choice to join up again later. Because in a lot of cases on Patreon, there's really, unless I mean, I've been following a lot of people on Patreon for a while, there's really like no hard incentive to kind of like keep you tacked in for a long period of time. So there's no problem, at least in my mind, of, hey, let's, you know, let me jump in, let me get your content, see what it is. Oh, sweet, I love what you have here. Let me grab what I have. I'm here for the month. If I'm still using your content at the end of the month, I'll throw you a couple more bucks. And that's kind of been my perspective on it. I want to put this over here. Have you ever backed a tabletop RPG on any crowdfunding website? Yes, numerous, more than I could count. Let me see. Actually, let me see how many Kickstarters I have backed. Let's see here. So, D&D projects that I have backed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have to load more. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and yeah, almost 30. Almost 30. So yeah, I'm super into doing crowdfunding stuff for D&D. So yes, definitely I have, which I know I'm actually, strangely enough, in the minority. I'm just actually really surprised that it's not more. But again, I feel like this kind of reflects what I said before of this might be Elder Brain's community basis kind of showing its colors of they prefer hobby stores and hardback books, they do prefer hardcover books. They prefer getting them from a bookstore. I'm definitely more of an online focused dungeon master, so my preferences are going to kind of skew from that a bit. All right, so, and what type, typically what kind of D&D products do you purchase? I kind of purchase all of them, honestly. I buy core rule books. I've bought core rule books for different systems just because I wanted to see what they offered. I've bought plenty of campaign settings. I buy adventure campaigns
all the time and then never use them. And instead, what I'll do is I'll piecemeal them out bit by bit for whatever I need. So that is, you know what? Cutting that out of there. Grabbing this. We're gonna put this right like that. Regional supplements, I didn't really understand what that meant, but if that's something where it's like, you know, more of like a, you know, European setting, or like more of an like Asian setting, stuff like that, that I kind of felt like that's what it was. But yeah, monster manuals, all kinds of character options I get, DM resources, and accessories and general merchandise. Yeah, I mean, kind of with everybody here, you know, but, you know, it's just an all-over grab bag. All right, so player character part of the survey. Which races do you like to play the most? Now, keep in mind, these are the basic. These are more of the core. These are more of the core races that are available. So human obviously was going to take the number one. I didn't even think that was going to be a question. But, you know, looking at it going from there, tiefling, everyone kind of loves playing as tieflings. They're super familiar. There's very popular ones in the culture around D&D. You know, you have characters like Jester from Critical Role that people are familiar with. So does not surprise me in the slightest that that tiefling was one of the higher ones. And then elf and half elf, they're again fairly common. Most people kind of know them. They have pretty expansive lore. Of all things, human is last for me. So the thing to consider about playing a human has less to do with the fact that you are a human. Most people who end up playing human are more familiar with playing human because it's one of the easier it's one of the easier races to be, because there's not a shit ton of lore and information that you have to familiarize yourself with. And especially for new players, playing a human is just a really quick way to jump into a game. And if you don't really want to commit too heavily to something, it's just a quick, easy way of like, oh, I'll play a human. Like, that's easy. What's that? They get a +1 to everything, or I get to take a feat. Okay, cool. That's cool. I like that. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, variant human option is the other thing. A lot of people love playing the human because you get a free feat. Now, you might be lucky and you might play with a DM like myself that allows his players to take a free feat to start with. But I'm the outlier in that. You know, I'm not, you know, my preference with that does not follow everybody's. So, and while it is becoming more common within the D&D community to have a feat at first level, or to have some kind of you know, that buy-in with your background, that's still a fairly uncommon thing. It's, you know, it's not the most you know, most used mechanic. So there's that is going to be a contributing factor to that. How often, or yeah, and then we have down here, monster races, other humanoid, those getting fairly high ratings. I don't think you're an outlier. It seems mentioned regularly in the limited spaces. Well, I mean, what I'm saying more is that I do the stuff that I do based off of, you know, what I think is interesting and what I think is cool, and wanting to kind of beef up my players is one of those things. But while it is starting to slowly become a more practiced thing of giving players a feat to start with, it's still not a very common thing. It's not officially recognized. You can't walk into an official, league game and start playing with feats at first level. So that's more the point that I'm making of, I'm running my own games, I'm doing my own stuff, and because of that, that's where I have that freedom. That's where I'm the outlier. So how often do you choose to play core races? I think this was like never, sometimes, mostly, and always. I can't remember this. But I mean, how often do I play core races? Well, I don't play a lot of characters that often. I'm mostly running games. But even just looking at some of the characters that I have played in the past, let's look at the oldest ones. I played one of my first characters was a half orc. That's a core race. And I played him because I wanted to have a strength-based character. Back then, that was what you did. You played a character based off of their main abilities. At least I did. I shouldn't say everyone did. I definitely did. But I played a Scourge Azamar. I played a Kenku. I played a Warforge. I played a Halfling, an Aarakocra. I made some homebrew races for like the Reborn, the Awakened Cat. I played a Goblin, a Shadow Elf, another Warforged, a half Aesir Dwarf, a sub-race of a dwarf. I played a Water Genasi. I played another Halfling. I played a Chromatic Dragonborn. I played a Variant Human a few times, because even down here, who was it? Yeah, Maloth was a Variant Human. I played a Goliath. I played a Fallen Azamar again. I played another Aarakocra. I played a Lizard Folk. I played another Goliath again, another Warforged, another Warforged again. And then I started just making a lot more characters than I'd probably ever play. Then I played another Variant Human. Where else do we got here? I'm just trying to focus on the ones that I actually did play. Another Variant Human. And again, I think that's where human really stands out. You can even see in my own selection of characters, half of the characters that I played were pretty much either Warforge or Variant Human, because I wanted those feats. Here's another Variant Human I played. I played a Bugbear. I played a Metallic Dragonborn. Yeah. So, I mean, the characters that I have played, and then in Pathfinder, I'm playing a Shuni. I'm playing one of the Pug people. So, I definitely have my types that kind of, swing a certain way. So, I mean, I do play the core races. I play human a lot. So that's one of those things. But I honestly think, though, the reason why I actually really like playing human is because, one, you get the feats, but two, because I think you can, when you play as a human, you can't just rely on your race to sell who your character is. That's one of those things that I think comes with the territory of playing something like an elf or a dragonborn or a gnome. When you play one of those races, that's a big defining part of who your character is. You know, when you're a Dragonborn, you have that lineage, you have that history and that past of, you know, yes, my family has faced persecution for X amount of years. You know, we have faced these trials and tribulations because of who we are. Or, you know, we came, I can trace my lineage back to whenever the spell plague happened and my family came here from the lands beyond, and they were slaves to the dragons, you know, and now we're finding our place here in this world. So you have these opportunities to like expand upon who your character is based on your race. But when you're playing a human, your class and your background really have to stand out. You know, you really have to build up a character design, because that is more what you are. You are more that that class and that background than anything. But I think that's actually kind of why I like it, because you can really exemplify who your character is. Which core classes do you like playing the most? So out of the 12, the number ones were Cleric, Rogue, Warlock, and Wizard. This actually did surprise me a bit. Cleric, Rogue, and Wizard didn't surprise me in the slightest. Those are the 4 core classes. If you look back to old school D&D, you have 4 core classes. You have the Fighter, the Cleric, the Rogue, and the Wizard. That is what you need for a party to work. But the thing is that the Warlock has gotten a lot of love in recent years, with various ways to really build up your character to be you could be a melee based half caster, you can be a spell slinging half caster, and you get a ton of abilities because of your patron. So when it comes to being a warlock, there's a lot of options that you have to work with, and I think that's actually why that it got kind of the love that it did here. So I'm all for that. And honestly, look at poor Ranger. Well, yeah, unfortunately the Ranger doesn't get a lot of love, and that is because you're better off playing an archery based fighter if you want to play a good Ranger. As sad as it is to say, that is kind of the reality of it. You know, the Ranger has been built and rebuilt multiple times over the years. In fact, I want to say in here on 5e.tools, I want to say that actually I might have gotten rid of it. I might have lost it when I did my most recent update. Yeah, Tasha's revised Ranger. Yeah, that's basically it. You know, all of the optional features that came with it, you know, favored foe, deft explorer, you know, primal awareness, all of that stuff has fundamentally changed how the Ranger was. But I've talked about this over the years. That has a lot more to do with the fact of what the Ranger was in the very beginning. Back in the day, D&D was all about traveling across land, exploring the countryside, and going in and out of dungeons. So exploration was a huge facet of that. But nowadays, a lot of D&D campaigns don't do, at least a lot of D&D campaigns that I have read, don't really focus on that aspect of play anymore. There's not a ton of exploration and roving around as there used to be. But and because of that, a lot of the Ranger's features kind of get pushed to the wayside. In the groups I've played in, the social media encounters, it's now the monk. That's true. Monk, now, because of the stuff that Tasha's came up with, monk now gets a lot of hate, and that is in part because the monk doesn't really get a lot of like power buffs like the other classes do. You know, it's a martial class, so it's naturally going to be less utility. Again, they're really focused on combat, and outside of combat, they don't have very high utility use. They don't have a lot of social use. So in a sense, they're kind of like a fighter in that, but even the fighter has certain abilities that can be used outside of combat. You know, you could have a samurai or a cavalier, and they have more utility than unfortunately a monk does. So yeah, druid doesn't, so ranger has had a lot of changes. Dude, trust me, I loved playing my Kenku monk. You know, Sun Gokura was one of my favorites. So, and if I could ever play another monk again, I probably would play another Sun Soul monk because of their ki blast, but I'd play them as a fallen Azamar, or not a fallen Azamar, a Scourge Azamar, so that I could go Super Saiyan and then shoot my ki blast. I'd 100% play him as a straight up Dragon Ball Z character. So yeah, unfortunately, Ranger and Monk aren't going to get a lot of love. Druid is also going to be one of those lower ones, just because Druids have a history of being a slightly, not harder class to play, but they have faced their share of issues, because especially before, or especially what Wizard of the Coast is trying to deal with it, is there's a lot of, how can I put it? It's hard to play it, because when you start playing a druid, you have to take into consideration your class abilities, your race abilities, your spell casting, and then on top of that, you have to learn about all the things that you can transform into, and it's sometimes a little overwhelming. So a lot of new players don't really ever play as a druid, and then they sometimes just kind of ignore that going forward. To be fair, Shadow Monks from the PHB have a lot of utility. So, yes, that is the one exception that I will agree with you. Shadow Monk's ability to move and be more roguelike is definitely great. The fact that they get Pass Without Trace and Silence is amazing. Unfortunately, it's just, you could also play a rogue and get... you could play a Shadow Elf rogue and get a lot of the same utility out of it. Astral Self is pretty badass as well. And Mercy Monks, I've actually never dug too much into Mercy Monks. I know they have those healing punches. Hand of Healing. But again, I just think with what you get out of it, it's one of those things of like, you can play a Mercy Monk, or you can just play a Paladin. Yeah, I think it's all, just one desire of like certain flares that come with it. Mercy Monks are the only ones that can remove stunned. I didn't know that, actually. That's good to know. I'll have to keep that in mind. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's like I blocked your chakras. Now I'm gonna unblock them. I often lean towards Ranger when considering characters for one shot, but find some. Yeah, I mean, I when it comes to Rangers, unless you're starting to dig into homebrew, there's not a lot that actually that I find too crazy. Like, I've been adding a lot of homebrew on here. For example, the Frozen Prowler, which is kind of about like locking people down and being an ice-based one. So this was one of the cool ones. Kind of just more about like survival than anything else. There's also one, the Tamer. This was a kind of Pokemon Ranger, better job than I did from years ago. Yeah, so a lot of different options, and you can always make something work. And at the end of the day, it's always up to preference. You know, do what makes you feel right. You know, play the character that you want to play. Drakenward is pretty badass. I mean, I don't think anybody is ever going to complain about getting a little dragon that you can fly on. I know Stacy has always wanted to, has often talked about playing Drakenward. I'm going to put that down there. Ooh, yes. Oh no, I don't want to put that there because I want to put another one of these if I get one. Oh no, we're going to put this here just for right now. All right, how often do you play other classes other than the core ones? I don't. I don't play other core races or classes, and I'm not gonna lie, that's because since I play on D&D Beyond, it is just too much to worry about trying to add in full-on classes. Subclasses is one thing. Adding a full-on class to D&D Beyond, just it doesn't work. You don't do it. And unfortunately, I really don't play that often to explore other options. So yeah, sucks to be me in that regard. But that's life. All right, how often do you Drake Warden came out after I created my Elf Ranger. That's true. I only have one. Okay, you know what? No, Artificer, I guess that would be one of the non-core. That would be like the non-core class, I guess, because it came out in Tasha's, which I have played. I have played an Artificer. His name was Alphonse, and he was pretty cool. So yeah, I guess I have played at least one. So how often do you multi-class? Truth be told, I actually don't multi-class when I play that often. And the reason is because does Alphonse have a brother? So it is funny that you ask that. Alphonse was named after Alphonse Elric. Let me find him here. I think he was further down. Yeah, here it is. So he was 100% named after Alphonse Elric, and I played him in a campaign where we were fairly high level already starting off, but his whole backstory was that he was a scientist for the kingdom that he lived in, and when the war broke out and he was one of the inventors, he was developing suits of armor. He was developing arcano-mechanical suits of armor that the soldiers could wear out on the battlefield to protect themselves. Well, his shop was attacked because they found out where the enemy found out where his shop was. They attacked him in order to cut off that supply of support, and he almost died. But in a last-ditch effort to save himself, when his research lab was destroyed, he went to this suit of arcano-mechanical armor and wrote a sigil into it. It was a blood sigil, and it was something that he learned from a drow blood mage, from a hemomancer, and it allowed him to bind his soul into the suit of armor that was there. And it was from that he was survived. So he was a warforged, but it was because his soul and spirit was inside the suit of armor. So very much, if you know Full Metal Alchemist, you know the story. It was very much constructed to emulate that. Yeah, unfortunately that campaign kind of stalled out just because, you know, availability and stuff like that, and never went back to it, unfortunately. But yeah, I loved playing Alphonse. He was such a fun character. It would also be tough to play him now because he had a very strong Russian accent. So I would probably not be too on to that. But yeah, I loved him. His one thing was that he was always he would always warn people about manticore attacks. Every time that he would like go somewhere or meet someone, he would always make sure and like check their defenses to see if they were prepared for manticore attacks, because that was one of the things that happened with him. Was he was protecting a village. This village was sent for help by the king's men, and he went to offer his aid, and he found out that they were being assailed by manticore, and that they would attack from the sky. So he always carried a shield with him to like defend himself from skyward attacks. But every time that he would ever go somewhere, you know, he would always question how they were defending themselves against manticore attacks. And that was the big thing that he wanted to know, of like, you know, are you keeping yourselves protected? Because this is a serious problem you have to consider. And it really never became a thing. I just always loved that whole joke. What the fuck? This piece is crazy here. This has a three river joint and also a railroad end. Oh, I could connect it to this one over here. Oh yeah, that'll be sick. Yeah, we're gonna do this. We'll figure out how to play that in later. All right. So go back to, at which level do you like playing the most? So 50% of people said that they prefer playing at all levels. There was a good group of people that said 1 to 4. Good group said that 9 to 12, and the biggest 5 to 10. This is the group that I wholly agree with. I personally believe that levels 5 to 8 is where D&D was meant to be played. Over the years, yeah, exactly, tier 2. So I think I can pull it up in here. Let me see. Shoot, what did I have to look up for that one time? Tiers of Play 5e. Yeah, here it is. Let me pop this one in there. So yeah, tiers of play 1 to 4, or level tier 1 to 4, local heroes, tier 2, heroes of the realm, tier 3, masters of the realm, and then tier 4, masters of the world. So, you know, this is where you first arrive in, you know, in whatever the area is. You know, you're just arriving, you're making a name for yourself. You're not these grand heroes. You're oftentimes just these rambunctious, you know, potentials that are there to do whatever they can to help. It's one of the best levels of play to go, because you're really starting to just like learn who your character is, and you're just building up, you know, what will be in the future. Then tier 5, Heroes of the Realm, that's where you're starting to establish yourselves. That's where people are starting to know you, and you're making a name for yourself, and you're already starting to grow out and really showcase who you are as a party and as a group. And this is where, in my opinion, the game is balanced for this particular level. This is where D&D kind of shines, and this is where the best adventures are written for. Tier 3 is a lot of times where those campaigns run out, because you start getting into stuff where this is where you should be fighting the main bosses. This is where you're going to be coming into some of the most powerful abilities that your characters will ever have. And so with that in mind, you have to start considering, like, you know, what are our characters going to be, you know, going to be doing after this? Because at that point, you're just fighting gods. Tier 1, fighting sewer rats. Tier 2, fighting those controlling the sewer rats. Tier 3, you hire and train people to handle the sewer rats. Tier 4, you forget sewer rats were a threat. You know what? That is perfect. Corgi, that is 100% perfect. I love that. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to copy and paste that. That is beautiful. I want that in my Discord. That's amazing. That's kind of in line with, you know, an easy way to explain it, like with the tomato method for ability scores. You know, strength is how hard you can throw a tomato. Constitution is how your ability to eat a rotten tomato and not get sick. Dexterity is your ability to dodge a tomato. Intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing that a tomato doesn't belong in fruit salad. And charisma is the ability to sell a tomato-based fruit salad. And it's just called salsa. That's fine. You could send it here. I'd prefer you send it here. But I want that there because I always want to remember that. That is absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that is 100% like my favorite tier to play is that, you know, perfect tier 2 adventure. Just because I think that's where things really shine. I want to put one. I want another one. You know what? Hold on. I'm putting this here. I'm gonna copy this. We're gonna delete this. We're gonna put this there. Now we're going to copy this. We're going to connect that to there, and then we're going to delete this one. There we go. Look at that. Look how cool that is. Oh, we're going to have this little lake that these are able to cross over, and we're going to have this train track come down into here. Ooh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I'm not sure if Dwarf Magic is distracted from D&D or the other way. Yeah, I'm just like doing this in the background. This has become my life recently, is just like sitting here piecing stuff together in this game. All right, so how important is the level of the adventure to you? So yeah, dude, I love these things. These things are so cool. And I actually didn't realize that's how they could hook up until I did it up here and never even realized that it went into that one. But it was here that I realized I could connect multiples together and they would form this little track. I didn't even, you know, consider connecting multiple of them to extend out a railway. Yeah, nope, I love this game. So happy I found this. Oh yeah, little boat. We're gonna have this coming out this way. All right, how important is the level of the adventure to you? In tier 2, you're strong, but you know when you can't handle something. The monsters are just too strong and the bosses are terrifying, but they're manageable. Yes, I wholly agree with that. That's it. In tier 2, you're not invincible. You're strong and you can handle most threats that come your way, but you recognize that if you don't play your cards right, you don't think about what you're doing, or you get cocky about stuff, then you are going to run into problems. So I think that's a great way to put it. Good. So what level, how important is the level of the adventure to you? I actually don't really have an issue with like the level of an adventure, but I think that is more to do with the fact that I can adjust stuff on the fly to level stuff up appropriately as I need it. For example, in my Rime of the Frost Maiden game last night, the encounter that the players went to handle, they were going to fight these this woolly mammoth and these wolves that were basically harassing a town and kidnapping people. They were charged with going in and or charged with finding these kids and dealing with that scenario. Well, that encounter is actually built for 3rd and 4th level characters. And I knew when my player, I knew that whenever I rolled those dice to figure out where my players were going to go after the blizzard, when they got lost in the blizzard, and I rolled up Dugan's Hole, I realized very quickly that I needed to address the fact that they were potentially going to accept a job that was going to lead them down to where this encounter was. And that encounter was going to be far too easy for them if I just played it as normal. So instead, I beefed it up. I made the woolly mammoth stronger by giving him lair actions and also bumping up his HP. I gave the wolves a linked ability that was a death throw. So if they had below a certain threshold of HP and the mammoth was below a certain threshold of HP, they could essentially like put their life on the line and get some, almost get like not a free attack necessarily, but like, kind of working like the barbarian ability does of, if you are raging and you drop to 0 hit points, you can keep fighting until your rage is over, at which point you drop to 0 hit points. I essentially gave the wolves that same ability where if you drop to 0 hit points, you can keep going and do these attacks. That's right, yeah, the Zealot Barbarian. You can keep going and do these attacks even though you are at 0 hit points, but the moment that this is over, you are dropping to 0. Rage Beyond Death. I was trying to remember what it was and I didn't look it up before, but yes. So why do I have 2 barbarians? Oh, one's from the SRD. Okay. Yeah. While you're raging, having 0 hit points doesn't knock you unconscious. You must still make death saves, and you suffer normal effects from taking damage while at 0 hit points. However, if you would die from failing death saving throws, you don't die until your rage ends. There was also another one. Here it is. Here's the other one. At 11th level, and this is just a barbarian feat or a barbarian feature in general, if you drop to 0 hit points while you're raging, you can make a con save to drop to 1. That was also another one I was thinking of. But yeah, Rage Beyond Death is very much the idea that I was going with, where these wolves, if they were at a certain threshold of health, and so was the woolly mammoth, they could choose to attack somebody within 5 feet of the woolly mammoth as a final charge, and it would be that no matter what damage they took along the way, even if they only had, I think it was under, I think it was as long as they were under 10 hit points. So once they were at 10 hit points, even if they were to take 30 some points of damage, they would still be able to continue their death charge in order to dish out some damage against somebody that was within 5 feet of this mammoth. And the moment they did their attack, they were done and they died. And that was their death charge. So, and that was exactly how I wanted it to play out. How it ended up playing out in yesterday's session was exactly how I wanted it. This wolf got to do this one last charge against the players that were about to slay its ally. Yeah, that's it. And so I also gave, and yeah, speaking of mythic actions, I gave the woolly mammoth a legendary action, which was his rumbling stomp, where he could stomp his feet, and when he did that, creatures within 10 feet of him would have to make a dexterity saving throw or fall prone. The DC was set to 18, so it was very high, and those creatures that were within 5 feet of him made the saving throw with disadvantage. And it would also cause the piercers in the entrance hall to fall from the ceiling. So that was kind of the design of that entire encounter, and it played out exactly how I wanted it to. So, but originally in that encounter, it's just the 2 winter wolves and the mammoth. And that in itself, for level 3 or 4 players, might be a death sentence, because woolly mammoths are very strong and they're not really to be messed with in most cases. But for level 7 characters, it's not that big a deal. It's a nuisance for sure, but it's manageable. So that's why I had to ramp it up. All right, so yeah, again, how important is the level of the adventure? It's really not. I have ways of working around it if I need to. All right. How important is it that your party is a unit, members of the same faction, family, or background? I don't care at all about that. Not meant to kill the characters, but enough to put the fear of God in. That's damn right. That's exactly it. It's like, I'm going to give you a challenge, and but I trust that you'll be able to work this out as long as you're smart about it. Yeah. So how important is it that your party is a unit? And I'm assuming this means I assume this meant from the background, and for that I don't care. I think it is good when you have a party that can build characters that have some commonalities. It's always nice whenever people can play off of one another, because in some cases you have it where it's like, yeah, I'm from this village, and this is how we did this. Maybe it's like a cultural thing, and you can have somebody to play off of where it's like, hey, you remember this, right? It's like, you remember whenever we used to celebrate Mr. Johnson, and we used to throw eggs at their house, and that was like, part of the celebration. It's like, oh yeah. Or it's like, oh, you remember Daryl's, wood shop. We'd spend days or hours there, after our training, and it's like, yeah, I remember that. And so the ability to play off of somebody else in order to build up that lore is really good, and it's sometimes what you need. So, but I don't think it's necessary. I think having a little bit of diversity so that you can, have something more to work off of is also a really good thing to have. We're gonna put water over here. What are your favorite alignments to play? I knew Chaotic Good was gonna be the top on this. Everybody wants to play Chaotic Good. Chaotic Good is basically, that one alignment that people play when they want to say, oh, well, I'm not a bad guy, I want to do things right, but sometimes I get a little sassy. And it's like, okay, just say you want to, just say that you want to be a prick sometimes. Just say you don't want to live by any kind of code. You can say that. You can say you don't want to live by a certain code. You can say that you're gonna do good out there, but you might steal, you might lie, you might cheat, and that's okay. This is honestly one of the big reasons why I don't use alignment in my games anymore. I don't necessarily care if your character is chaotic good, chaotic neutral. make a character, give them substance in who they are, make a character that has a purpose, and then play that character. Okay, you want to be chaotic good? Okay, design a character who makes sense for them to be chaotic good. That's what I say. How much would you like if the adventure was designed for evil characters? I don't have an issue with evil, with campaigns that are, designed for evil characters. Alignments aren't my thing either, and I'm not knowledgeable enough about them. Yeah, I just generally don't care for them. How much would you like if the adventure was designed for evil characters? I've played an evil one-shot, and I did not really care much for it. I think if you want to play, I think, there's definitely an audience out there for it. I'm just not that audience. Alignment doesn't seem to play into mechanics of the game. So it used to, and that was the big thing. Alignment used to play into the mechanics a lot back in older editions. So back in like 3.5 and 4th edition, and especially back in like the old editions, they were vastly important. If you were playing a cleric or a paladin, you were good. You were not playing this ambiguous, maybe I'm chaotic good, maybe I'm, neutral or what. No, you were playing a good character, and that was it. And if you did things that were evil, your character would get smoted. So there was no ambiguity. It was, you are playing a good character or you lose your abilities. But the problem is nowadays is that because a lot of people are making very fluid characters where, over time you might change how your character plays, that has started to change how mechanics were built in. Nowadays, you do still have mechanics where it's like, oh, only an evil character can use this sword. Or if a good aligned character touches this sword, then, they are poisoned or something like that, or it tries to bite them. But it's a little harder to really sit there and say like, oh, this is what a good aligned character is, because you might be, who's good are you going off of? And I've said it before in some of my games, but like, everyone's the hero in their own adventure. So, you might be a good aligned character in your own eyes, but some of the stuff that you're doing might actually be evil to somebody else. So you got to take that stuff into consideration. All right. How much would you like it if an adventure was designed for monster player characters? I actually don't know. Like, I know what they're going for with this by saying, it seems far too much for a DM to keep track of or decide on as you're saying, good in whose eyes. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, in whose eyes are you saying that, good and evil is based on? I mean, I could write up a character right now who, in his culture's eyes, he's doing something good, but to everyone else, he's murdering babies. That in, like, it might be a thing in his culture that all women or all men, need to have their that like only the leader of the community is allowed to keep their genitalia, and so he's going out there like attacking people and like cutting off their junk, and it's like, well, no, this is like, why am I the bad guy in this? Like, this is how we preserve the bloodlines in our communities. Like, if you just let everyone out there, populate the world, how do you protect the genealogy? How do you know, how do you know the bloodline is maintained? And it's like, okay, that's weird.
But in his eyes, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. You know, I'm doing what I was raised to do. Again, that's a very far-reaching example, but you know, I think my point might still persist somewhere in that. All right, so how much would I like it if an adventure was designed for monster player characters? I wouldn't mind that. I don't think that, you know, I think you can still have an adventure with monster race characters and not have to have it like, you know, oh, this is for them. What was that? It's weird. Because from my perspective, you know, you can play a monster race in really any campaign. I wouldn't hold anyone to not play a monster race if they wanted to play it. Now, I know that there are some DMs out there that don't allow monstrous races into their campaigns, and at the end of the day, that is that DM's choice. But I've never had an issue with people playing monstrous races. The only caveat that I've ever given with playing a monstrous race is that, give a reason why your character is maybe mingling more with society, and also understand that some of the other races might not necessarily take too kindly to your kind, especially if you're playing something like a bugbear or a goblin. You might not necessarily have the easiest time when it comes to making allies with a community who is currently facing attacks from a neighboring goblin clan. So if you're playing a goblin in that scenario, you might have a rough time making allies. All right. Which monster races would you be most likely to play? I forget what I put for this. I think I put more of the monstrosities, like, because I like shape changers is cool. Lycanthropes is fine, but we have a lot of options. I think I put like awakened beasts and fiends and humanoids, but that's just because there's a lot of monstrous races that I have played, so I've kind of leaned more into that, just like that has been my experience already. Oh my god, guys, look at this. On the edge of the forest, this little house has its own lake. It's so cute. Yeah, which monster do you like? Lake House. Do you like managing organizations with attributes and or stats as part of the campaign? I know why half the people said maybe, and that's probably because none of them do, much like I don't. The thing to consider with this is when you have organizations in a campaign, for example, this would be something like the Harpers or the Emerald Enclave and stuff like that. You have to consider how are they working into the campaign at large. You know, are you using them to like benefit the characters? Like, is this something that the characters themselves are going to be partaking in? Like, are you giving them certain bonuses for joining them, or is it just like a you know, I'm a member of the Harpers, or I'm a member of the Lions Guild, and because of that I have some form of recognition? Because if that's the case, you know, I don't normally, you know, that's normally how I kind of play it, is like, oh, there's this group that you can be a part of and this is how they function. But the problem is in 90% of the time in my own games, it's just too much for me to follow. That's unfortunately just the reality of my own mind of like, yeah, I can't really, you know, I'm not really gonna sit here and like have this full on, you know, like you're a part of this group and these are the ways that they play into it, because unfortunately it gets forgotten, you know, things get bypassed. I've never really done it in a way that it's worked, and that might just be a me thing, you know, that might be just solely on me that I've not done it right, but I don't normally use them in most cases. All right, what? Oh yeah, we'll skip that. Which official setting do you enjoy the most? Dark Sun, Dragonlance, Eberron, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, Planescape, Ravenloft, Ravnica / Innistrad, Spelljammer, Wildmount / Exandria, Other, and Homebrew. And it is no fucking doubt that Forgotten Realms and Homebrew are the number 1 and 2, because everybody wants to create their own homebrew setting, because that's one of the best parts about being a DM. And everyone knows the Forgotten Realms because it is the most popular. I have no other things to say really about that. I mean, like Wildmount and Exandria and Ravenloft being where they are at 21%, that doesn't surprise me, considering one of them is the most popular official D&D module that is around, the Strahd campaign, the Curse of Strahd, and Wildmount and Exandria is from Critical Role, and again, the most popular third-party content creator for D&D in its current iteration. So those are going to be the top ones. And then Eberron, that one is mostly because it is a more tech-based one, and people that want to play Warforges and have access to, like, you know, the higher, like the more technology-based, you know, settings, that's kind of what you play into. You oftentimes play into Eberron settings. So it's more of a steampunk thing, and steampunk is super popular nowadays. But Dark Sun, people love to say that they like Dark Sun, but you try getting new players to D&D to play Dark Sun, and you're very quickly going to you know, realize that it doesn't really fit into today's, you know, D&D settings. Dark Sun is all about hardship and strife, and you know, the gods are dead, there's no divine magic, so you can't play a paladin, you can't play you can't play, I guess you really couldn't play a warlock, you can't play a cleric because there's no divine magic. Also, metal is hard to come by and almost doesn't exist. So if you're playing a martial character that has metal, like you want a sword, no, okay, metal is highly sought after in the Dark Sun setting. So there's a lot of struggles with designing campaigns around that unless you're very used to it. Would druids and monks shine there? I want to say, because everything is kind of like scorched earth, druids are pretty prevalent, and monks do good, but I think it's mostly like the barbarians, the rangers. I think it's mostly gonna be your more physical kind of characters. It was just never a setting. It's a setting I've read into. It's not a setting I could play in. It's just not one that appeals to me. You know, that's my own preference, at least. Which styles do you... Oh yeah, actually I should probably talk about it. Dragonlance, we just recently saw the new Dragonlance setting that was released for 5e, so that's slowly building up into its own thing.
Again, Eberron is steampunk. Greyhawk is just Greyhawk is just Forgotten Realms before the Forgotten Realms was the Forgotten Realms. In my opinion, Greyhawk was Gary Gygax's original campaign setting, and it's just your classic high fantasy. I've ran a campaign there, and I could interchange parts of that with any other setting. In fact, I have done that. I have actually taken bits and pieces from Greyhawk settings and put it into a fantasy or into a Forgotten Realms setting. Nobody could tell the difference because nobody knows the difference in most cases because it's just a generic classic background. In fact, even some religious characters, even like the gods, Pelor, for example, is a Greyhawkian god, and you know the pantheon is, in a lot of cases, what these settings base on. Planescape is more if you want to be able to travel to multiple realms, multiple dimensions. If you want to have very kind of eclectic settings, Planescape is your go-to. Ravnica and Innistrad is just if you want to play stuff that's in the Magic the Gathering setting. In my opinion, that's more what you're, you know, why you would play something that's in Ravnica or Innistrad. Ooh, look at that, we got all these trees. Perfect. And then Spelljammer, I think a lot of people right now are kind of soured about Spelljammer because of the last book and how it wasn't that great. I don't mind Spelljammer. I just think you need a very specific kind of, you know, setting for it. I think you need to know what you're doing whenever you want to play a Spelljammer campaign. All right, what style of fantasy do you enjoy playing the most? Dark fantasy / sword and sorcery, fairy tale, hard fantasy, high/epic fantasy, historical fantasy, horror, occult, post-apocalyptic, science, techno, steampunk. I don't know why dark fantasy was listed twice. So dark fantasy / sword and sorcery, that is, and high fantasy, that's my two. I think I also put fairy tale, but or no, did I? No, I might have put post-apocalyptic, but my two here is or appeal to players' desire to play Treasure Planet. That's true. That is very true. You want to play Treasure Planet? Play some Spelljammer. I'm up for that. But yeah, I mean, D&D is based on that higher fantasy, you know, where you have hard set magic rules. It's ingrained into what everything in the world is going on. So I fully believe that, you know, every campaign that I run will probably at least for the majority be high fantasy or dark fantasy, sword and sorcery style, because that's just the kind of stuff that I enjoy running. I need another water feature because I don't want to put this little island. You know what? That's actually kind of fine. We'll do that. Which terrains do you like to see? Would you like to see in adventures? What do we got here? Creature of epic proportions, living or dead. I forgot about some of these questions. Honestly, for me, I actually prefer some bigger sprawling urban ones. I think in a lot of cases, whenever they have urban settings, you oftentimes get like these street level maps, and I would love some like bigger, grander ones that allow more travel around towns, but also you can kind of get in closer to really, you know, do like rooftop runs and stuff like that. I think that would be super sick to explore. That's starting to look cool. Oh, got another train. Which historical settings do you enjoy playing the most? Honestly, Middle Eastern is mine, or Viking. Yeah, those are the top two, and that's just because I think that's what most people are used to when it comes to high fantasy, is that medieval European style adventure. That's just kind of where most writing, you know, developed around this setting. Which plane or setting do you enjoy the most? Feywild actually kind of surprised me that it's up there, but if it is about the outer planes, yeah, it's the most fleshed out, to be honest. I mean, Shadowfell is kind of up there in the Nine Hells. The Nine Hells is definitely more fleshed out, but yeah, one of those things to recognize is that the Shadowfell is barely ever explained. Like, there is so little detail about the Shadowfell that it's not even funny. And I've kind of run into that reality when you know, when trying to design a campaign that is having players deal with Shadowfell, like Shadowfell incursions, basically, where things from the Shadowfell are starting to influence the material plane. And it's just, you know, it's kind of a struggle sometimes, because, you know, I want to look something up, I want to, you know, find an answer and have something available to me, and it's just nothing there. So that's at least something that I've taken notice of. We're gonna put that there. Wild Beyond the Witchlight and Descend into Avernus. Yeah, that's true. Wild Beyond the Witchlight is a hugely popular module that that would have had a lot of influence into that, so that probably plays a huge role in that popularity. Let's put that like that. Oh, nice. We'll close that little loop off. All right. How hostile would you like the general setting to be? Helpful, where I can find aid at any time. Mildly dangerous, quite dangerous, threatening, it doesn't matter. And so we got mildly dangerous and quite dangerous. And I think that's where most people are, you know, obviously most people are going to go. At least in my opinion, you want, you know, kind of like Corgi said before, you want your setting to be a challenge, but you don't want it to be unfair. You want it to be something where it makes sense that your players are going to struggle a bit, but you're not going to, you know, just throw a Tarrasque at them. So I think it helps to really nail that down with your players, to like understand where their strengths and weaknesses are. Dude, I hope we get a Shadowfell module soon. Actually, if you do want any material towards that, and one of the things that helped me, let me grab it. I have it on my shelf over here. Ow. It's this book, Tales from the Shadows. It's actually a Cobalt Press book. This is one that I picked up for it, and this is the Shadow Realm. So, but it's in the Shadow Realm, mysterious places abound, guarded by denizens both strange and wondrous. From woods dark and eerie to courts of noble fae, all paths lead to haunts, ruins, machinations, and subterfuge. 14 adventures suitable for levels 1 to 8. Yeah, this is actually what I'm using to kind of like base out some of the adventure in one of my campaigns, because a lot of the stuff in here can just be planted in wherever it makes sense. But since I know none of them watch my stream, I can give a little insight. Basically, I thought there was I'm trying to think of it now. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Pretty much there's going to be like pockets of where the Shadowfell is interposing into the material plane, and the players will have to deal with those incursions, almost of like stopping the denizens from the Shadowfell breaching into the material plane, because it's just going to cause chaos and ruin as far as the eye can see. Where's that little lake? Oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. Little lake. I have another lake up here that's shared by some multiple houses and a little field. But that was the first little lake I put. No. All right. How common should monsters be in the setting?
One can surely encounter them in certain areas, rarely seen, stuff of legend, monsters everywhere, it doesn't matter. I think it needs to make sense. You know, I'm gonna say it the way that I would say it to my players. It needs to make sense. How often do monsters need to show up in a campaign setting? Make it make sense. You know, does it make sense for a monster to show up here? You know, is there reasonable suspicion that you know, monsters could be here? Cool, let them be there. But if it's somewhere that it doesn't make sense, you know, why would you even consider it? I don't know. You know, you still want to have monsters, but yeah, I definitely believe though that it needs to be like, okay, we don't go to this corner of the woods, there's monsters there. And so with that, it's, you know, you could say like, oh yeah, well that's, you know, we don't go there, that's where the monsters are. Oh, okay, cool, you know, I'll stay out of there, and you know, I'll stay safe. Oh, this already has 3 boats. I don't want to put another boat in there. Where it doesn't have a boat? This doesn't have a boat down here. You know what? Boom. Papow. You got a boat now. How much magic would you like to have in a setting? High magic, normal magic, low magic. So high magic, if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm gonna have to not speak out my ass and Google this. Because I know I had a discussion with my one friend about it, but in my opinion, the way that I glean it is high magic is a setting where magic is readily available. It is kind of ingrained into it is kind of ingrained into everything. But there's also here it is, yeah. Put in simplest terms, high magic is when energy is gained in the use of magic. Low is when it is lost. Both can be considered equal in all power, yeah. So there's different ways to look at it. When I think of this, when I thought of this question, I was leaning more into like, you know, how much magic is present in your setting. And I like it whenever magic is there, magic is present, and while it is, you know, while not everybody has it, it's not uncommon to see it. And the reason I prefer playing it that way is because it allows for, you know, where you can have those moments of introducing a character that might not be from your campaign, you know, from one of your players, but still has access to some magics. For example, I recently had in my Phandalin 5 game, my players went and rescued a bard by the name of Tarbin Tool. Now, they had only met Tarbin Tool once before, but, you know, they knew he was a bard. They knew he could, you know, play music and sing songs. But they found out while he was there, he does have some minor spell casting abilities, because they had to get out of this one room he was in, and the room was locked, and it was locked with an arcane lock. So it was a magical lock. They couldn't just, you know, break out of it. And luckily, the one who was rescuing him, the rogue who could step through walls, he has ghost step, he was able to get him his loot, and because he got him his loot, that meant that he could cast the knock spell in order to disable the arcane lock on it. So something like that, if I was running a lower magical setting, I wouldn't necessarily be able to play into that nearly as much. Oh, my neck. Crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. Do I have another one of these? If I had another waterway I could work with. Nope.
I don't want to put one up here now. Oh, I could. Look at that. Stretch time. I don't know what you mean by stretch time. So glad he was a bar with some. Yeah. So, and that was the thing. It's, you know, I wanted Tarbin, I wanted Tarbin to have some abilities, you know, big or small, whatever it was going to be. But, you know, I recognized a need right there and was like, yeah, you know, this is where he's going to showcase this. This is where he's going to reveal that he has some abilities, but he needs that loot. So, you know, luckily you guys was able to get in there and grab that loot for him, and you know, that worked out for you guys. Oh, sweet. Now I can have railways up here. So yeah, that's it. You know, it makes it so that magic, you know, it's always, it is, you want magic to be, you know, a spectacle when it comes to, you know, commoners, to NPC. I mean, stretching your back and shoulders. Yeah, dude, no, I'm just a fat guy, and so I have a lot of body pain. As much as it's always stretch time in my world. Yeah, it makes it more dynamic because most, if not all, of the folks who can use magic are the bad guys. Well, and that's it. You know, a lot of the folks that have magic in a lot of campaign settings are gonna use it for, you know, some more nefarious means. Now, there are plenty that show up. You know, if you guys were to say, need to travel, actually you guys did, for example, you guys met Marigold, who runs the he runs the shrine there in Lylon. He is a spellcaster. He has magics. You know, he's a cleric. Basically, he's a cleric. He's a paladin. He has certain abilities, and it's because of that, you know, that he's able to do what he can do. But you know, you can go to him, you can ask him for certain spells to be cast, you can ask him, you know, to do something for you. Or in the case of a you know, if you find a locked chest, if nobody in your party has the knock spell, for example, and you find a chest with an arcane lock on it, you can just take that to, you know, you can go into a bigger town, into a bigger city, and try and find a spellcaster that, you know, that could unlock it for you. And they might charge you, you know, 50 gold to unlock it or something like that. But you know what? That's the cost that you pay. So it's, you know, it is, you want there to be those, at least some of those presences of magic that exist within the world, because it just makes sense to have it sometimes. You don't want to lock everything down to, oh, all the magic users are these players right here. You know, all of these people in this adventuring group, these are the ones that have magic in this world, and that's it. You know, at least in my opinion, you don't want to do that. Oh no, you gotta make a little roundabout water spout. Where can we put this? I don't want to put that over there. Can we? Nope, I don't have water up there. I need to put water somewhere else so I'm not just working on two spots. And there's barely anything up in this corner, but I have a railway there, so I don't really want to do anything there. Oh, that's right, I have water over here. Wow, I'm an idiot. Okay, sorry, losing my mind there for a minute. All right, so how religious should your setting be? I think moderately, you know. It's one of those things of, in D&D, while you can do it, it doesn't make sense in D&D to have no religion, or for it to be, you know, atheistic. Somebody pointed this out the other day, and I forget what it was that I was watching that said this, but somebody said that being an atheist in a D&D setting is like being a flat earther in the real world. Like, there are literal gods that have walked the earth, and yet you are choosing to disbelieve it for one reason or another. Now, it's like, you can not like the gods, you can despise the gods and, you know, spit on their existence, but for you to say that gods don't exist in a D&D setting, unless that's the campaign that you're running, it's kind of ridiculous to even assume that they don't exist. I also forgot I had train tracks right there too. I gotta get that moving as well. I also gotta get a train on there. I have no train on that track. No reason why I put it in. All right. Kind of curious if there was a tile count. I don't know, actually. I don't think so. Oh, maybe this. Oh yeah, look at that. 4,800, or yeah, 4,085. I've been playing for 10 hours and 45 minutes. It'll be a very specific homebrew campaign if you want to. Yeah, it is. You can't have, if you remove all deities from a D&D campaign, you lose the ability to have clerics and paladins and warlocks. You also, I mean, technically you don't lose the ability to have druids, because druids are nature and more primal based. But you definitely lose the ability to have the priests, like the actual priest characters. But you could always just argue them with something else in essence. Like, you could, you know, have it based on some other kind of magics. You know, it's like, oh, it's not gods, it could be literal science. I did not get to the 15 hours yet. No, we're still working towards the 15 hours, please. We're gonna put that right there. We're gonna start building this forest out here. Oh yeah, big water. Big water. Yeah, no, I don't like that. Put it there. Large field on an island. All right, so how wealthy should your setting be? Normal. Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, either that or it doesn't matter. Like, you know, I think it should just be fairly normal. I think there should be a simple basis of understanding of, like, you know, 1 gold is 1 gold, and most people, you know, most people in this period of time would only see a gold in a year. That's the fairly common standard. Do you enjoy limited resources and or foraging for food and water during adventures? Absolutely not. I fucking hate it. While I understand that there are some players that like that aspect and that they, you know, they want that to be a thing, I can't bring myself to find enjoyment in that, and that's a me thing, and I get that, but man, oh man, can I not do it? I don't like when I have to. I don't like when my players, you know, I don't want to force my players to, like, track the amount of arrows that they have, because guess what's gonna happen? I'm gonna forget, and then one of my other players is gonna be like, well, they didn't go and pick up their arrows, and it's like, okay, that's fine, they didn't have to. And it's like, but I've been tracking all of my arrows. Oh, cool for you. Cool for you. I'm glad you have. I'll hold you, you know, you hold yourself to that, and they'll hold themselves to not. Yeah, just, I've never really had a thing for that. Who should hold political power in a setting? It doesn't matter versus a specific group.
and a single individual. I mean, I think in a lot of cases, you have a lot of settings are like regions. So with that, you're probably going to have some kind of like group or organization that kind of runs everything. But there's plenty of settings out there that, you know, based like this will have, you know, some kind of king or tyrant or monarch, and that's fine. You know, it's common enough to kind of expect that. Which is the best group to hold political power? What is the main one? A mix of all kinds of powers. Yeah, I think in that part, you know, it doesn't really matter. Mages and spellcasters, in my opinion, I think mages and spellcasters should be the one. I want to say it was called like an Arcano. It was like an Arcano racy or something like that. That was like a society that is governed by mages, where you have a group of highly intelligent mages making the decisions based off of what is undoubtedly the best, you know, choices to make. But you know, even in that, you're just kind of like, you know, you could have one figurehead, like you could have the grand mage be the one making a lot of those calls, and you know, but they're having to answer to everybody else, you know, in that same setting. I want this to be another big lake, because like I keep imagining like all these train tracks I have going through here. Like this is all like a mining town and community. That's why it's all like gray and ashen, and like each one of these stops is a mine. That's why I have so many. Each one of them is its own mine, and they're transporting goods, and they're gonna be moving stuff through here, across there, into these other lands, and you know, they carry them all through here, and they get into the riverways and the causeways, and over here there's a processing plant, and they boat out from there, and then they also send them over here. I wish I had a 4-way that I could have clipped one over there. Oh wait, you know what I could do? I could make one big water. I have a thought. I could actually connect those right now if I wanted to. It's actually not a bad idea. Let's drop this. Let's put you over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We are going to take this. We're going to delete this. Oh. Yes. There we go. That dark water, that deep water. Oh man, look at that. Look at that. Oh, so good. Yeah, because now it's like, oh yeah, you can connect, you know, you can connect to here. All this water connects up to these railways, and these railways send grain. A lot of the grain that's collected in here is brought to this railway, and it's sent out into the town and collected around. This is actually just brought domestically in. But yeah, up here it kind of connects into these causeways, and this hits this railway up here, which actually brings it across the top here. And then, oh yeah, love this. Who's cutting down the forest for wood? A lot of people. I mean, it's look how big it is. Like we got grain production all over the place. We got all these woods. You got plenty of water for fishing. Like fishing can happen everywhere. That's this town's like whole main thing is, you know, fishing out on that lake. Same with over here.
Got a little processing plant going on between these two. And then, yeah, this is another, you know, this is another like coal place, but this is kind of like, you know, it's kind of like the marshes almost. So there's, that's very dangerous to, you know, live up here in these more wet marshlands up here with these little spotty connected bodies of water. You know, down here you have a couple of those, but over here in the mining parts, it's not that big a deal. Yeah, up here though, you know, these are kind of the rich people up here. This has always been my thought, is like these are kind of like the more well-to-do, the more affluent. They're not really near the industry and the, you know, the production of resources. They have a lot of their stuff more imported, so it's a higher cost of living up there. The most that they have some nicer clothing because they have the largest field of opalescent grain. So that's their whole thing. That was like what made this area, you know, kind of accessible. That and some fishing, but that was it. Love this game. All right. What should the power structure look like? Ooh, contact shifted. There you go. Right between of equally powerful sides. Yeah, I don't think, you know, I think it should, I think there should be, you know, some imbalance. That's what creates conflict, and, you know, it should always have some kind of conflict that exists. How large should the adventure environment be? Large group of cities, forests, mountains. Yeah, you know, large locations, huge map. Give enough of it to really allow for people to expand it out and to really build into their own creative designs. You know, if you lock yourself into a smaller kind of map setting, then yeah, you kind of have to deal with the fact that it's less of a campaign setting and more of just an adventure setting. What should the predominant alignment be in the setting? I mean, chaotic neutral is the predominant alignment. I mean, that just is the case. Ooh, we got an end to a railway. I wanted to end this one over here. Wow, finally. Got another mine. You know what? Actually, I want to fill this in right here. All right. What type of world-shaking event should be featured in the setting, if any? Rise and fall of a leader, cataclysmic event, invasion, rebellion, revolution, extinction or depletion of something that once existed, discovery or invention, omen, prophecy, mystic events. Yeah. I mean, the rise and fall of a leader, that has kind of set the course of a lot of adventures in the past. You know, the king dies, or, you know, some kind of grand figure passes away, and then there's a power vacuum, and you have a lot of people that are now starting to, you know, come into play and trying to take some of that power for their own. So I think that's a very classic one, but also omen and prophecy and mythic events. That is hands down like what most campaign settings are. I feel, you know, it's a cliche, but it's, you know, it's like putting in cultists into your campaign. It's like, oh, what's causing the problems? Cultists? Okay, yeah, go figure. That makes total sense. Force. Thank you. I need to get this railway to connect down to here. I need a three-way right there. As weird as that is for me to say. That was yeah. Oh, this is water with a stop. Ooh, where can I put that? I don't have, oh wait, no, I don't really have anything up here. Oh wait, I don't want to stop that yet. Do I've, Oh, I have a track right here. Why do I have a track right there? Okay, well, shoot. That's going to come out along the edge, and, you know, maybe I'll work up here for a bit. Yeah. Oh, wait, actually, see, this is the problem with this game. I get, like, distracted with little clusters. I gotta finish this place down here first. Cool. All right, that was quick. Oh, that's funny. I was like, this needs to be done. Now it's done. Okay. But yeah, I think cultists in a lot of cases, you know, that's at least one of the things that I always play into is, you know, you're gonna have these zealots that are out there raising hell and causing problems and mischief and mayhem, and you know, that's their whole shtick. They believe in something so deeply that they're willing to cause, you know, great harm to the world with it. You know, and yeah, if that's the way they want to do it, hey, that's the way they do it. Holy shit, we got another water feature with an end cap. Okay. Let's put this one up here. All right, plot. Which main plot subjects would you like to see in Adventure? Dark Ritual, Deadly Plague, Prophecy, Apocalypse, Curse, Monster Threat, Artifact/Treasure, Puzzle or Mystery, Portal to Another Plane, Rulership of Land, Evil Organization, Ending, or Running a Business. We have Artifact and Treasure being the top one, along with Dark Ritual, Puzzle and Mystery, Monster Threat, and Prophecy. And I think Prophecy and Dark Ritual kind of go hand in hand. You know, having a setting where the main build up is, oh, you know, there's this group and they're going to be doing something evil, and you gotta stop them. You know, they're going to perform this horrific ritual, and you got to do something that's going to put an end to that. Oh fuck, it's not going to work there. Did I need it over here? You know what? Actually, let's branch this out. But yeah, I mean, I personally don't mind those. I think in a lot of cases that's what it is. So do we really need more of that? You know, I guess. Personally, I would actually really like to see Dark Plague stuff. Something where it's affecting the world on a macro scale, and the players are responsible for figuring out what is causing it, how to put an end to it, and resolving whatever matters, whatever matters come up because of it. You know, I don't think we see too much of that. And in fact, I did at one time what eventually became my Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign. One of the things that I was going to have in that was going to be a plague that was happening in this like plains area, and the players were going to have to figure out where it was basically turning everything into undead, and the players were going to have to figure out where it was coming from and what was causing this undead plague to sweep across these lands. And in the end, they were going to find out it was coming from the nearby city, which was very distrusting of anyone with magic. And they were actually doing it to kind of advance their own like belief structure of magic being terrible. And they were like, you know, exuding all of this magic in that direction to basically say, like, you know, look what's happening to our neighbors, like look what's happening to them. Is this what you truly want? Is this the life you want to live? No, we need to reject magic. Yeah, that would have been a fun one if that campaign ever came out the way I expected. All right.
What major plot themes would you like to see in an adventure? Retrieving, finding, stealing artifacts / treasure, saving, rescuing yourself / someone or many, gathering information to solve, find, or unveil something, building, conquest of a land / organization business, finding, exploring, and traveling to a location, eliminating, capturing an enemy, or stopping, killing an evil force or effect. Yeah, gathering information to unveil something and stopping or killing an evil threat. Those are like, again, the two most common the two most common kinds of adventures. You know, you're going out with the purpose of finding this information to stop a major threat. So I think those do go hand in hand. Then that's kind of, you know, what I would like to see. I like that simplicity with it. Would you rather have the players take on an adventure to save others, save themselves, advance power status, or advance their own power and status? Save others. You know, most players want to be heroes. They want to be altruistic. So I think it's fully within reason to let that be a driving force for your players. When should plot be revealed? Throughout the story in parts? Yes, 100%. You know, 93%. You know, that is one of those things where you want to parse out the adventure over time so that it's not super jarring at any given point, and that you can build it up slowly. You know, having everything all in the beginning, you know, you want to make your players aware of the threats that they could be facing in the beginning, but you don't want it to be, you know, where there's no build up, there's no like bits and pieces that they can strive to uncover throughout the campaign setting. You want that to be something that they can work towards. So, and that's why I think, you know, in a lot of cases, having a cult can be something that you can slowly build into. You know, you can have it be slight activity around an area that slowly builds into them going in and disturbing the peace and causing, you know, riffraff and mayhem wherever they go. And then the players start getting involved in, we saw these... you know, we dealt with these cultists, you know, not too long ago, and this was, we heard about them, we heard these rumors, and now we fought against them, and you know, we're gonna find out what they're doing. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. Oh wait, no, I don't want that. I don't want that either. It's another one like up here. Ugh, that sucks. Riffraff and mayhem. Yeah, that is kind of, yeah. It's basically what they are. You know, I'm going to discard this piece. I don't do that often, but piece just wasn't jamming with me. All right. Would you add side quests unrelated to the main story? Absolutely. That is like everything that I do. I'm constantly on the lookout for side quests that I can add to a campaign. You know, I want to have points where the players are exploring and, you know, taking on small things just to have on the side, because, you know, if you are only running through like a main story of sorts, that's fine. If you have a purpose to have that, that's great and all. But your players, while it is good to have focus, it's good to allow your players to know that there is a main plot going on. If all your players ever know is that there is just the main story, when you go to introduce a side plot or some small fetch quest, they're gonna have the mindset of like, well, you know, oh, sorry, we can't deal with that. We got this big thing to deal with. And it's that ever pushing, you know, drive towards that can sometimes, you know, that can sometimes, you know, make your players not even consider those side quests that you might want to throw in. That's why I try and put them in whenever I can. Ooh. Where am I putting this? I'm putting this up here. I want to make like a little zigzag through here. This piece, I'm putting this right there. Oh, no, that actually doesn't work. Fuck. Okay, hold on. I need to get that back then. No, I do need a piece there, but I don't need that piece. I need a piece that goes up and connects these two. Like, I want to connect that into there. No. This small little plot of forest right here is disconnected from the forest at large. Look at that. Oh, that's so funny. I didn't even realize I did that. I completely disconnected that little bit of forest from the large forest. Because I have like small plots in here, you know. I have these small little, you know, like houses out here in the forests. Oh man, but shit, that's funny. I didn't even realize that I did that. That's absolutely, it's gonna happen over here too. Huh. Well, you know, I guess that's just the reality of it. All right. Which adventure styles should be prominent in the adventure? Stealth, investigation, hack and slash, exploration, diplomacy, and survival. Why not all? You know, and again, we talked about it before. I think this is really showing the colors of Elder Brain's community. They have exploration at the highest. This is a group that definitely appeals more to that older style of player. You know, back in like the old school OSR days where exploration was a huge key factor in most play styles. So I get why that's there. Oh wait, you know what I need there? I need an X. I need an X track. There. That's what I need. Boom. Sick. Oh, I got a new water feature. It's going in the water. Boom, right there. Actually, it'll go right here. We'll have this be, you know what? I actually just had a really cool idea. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to take that. We're going to remove that. We're going to pop this in there. And we're going to delete this. And we're going to take a solid water feature. We're going to put that there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to... I thought I had it. I had it somewhere. Here. We're going to delete that. Shit, I can't put that in there. I want something that has water and a track like we had somewhere. Oh, it was over here. Wonder if this will let me do it. Damn it. Do I just need like a straight up? No. Okay. Then we are... Oh, you know what? No, I have it built up in my mind. I know exactly why that's like that. Because this is where they load stuff from this giant water feature. All
all the whatchamacallits, all the fish that are caught in here are processed onto trains for export out through this. That's why. Gotta build it into the lore, baby. Gotta build it into the lore. There's no way that's the piece I would need. Hold the fuck on. If I put... So that's there. That would just connect into there. Otherwise, it would have to come out this way, and it probably won't. It would rotate, and it would come down like this and go this way. Yeah, so it wouldn't let me do that because I'd have to cut that out of there. Yep, no. Oh, no, fuck. It glitched. Damn it. That was bad. I don't have like the whole thing, but I do have at least like some ideas for this. This would have been a great spot. Oh man. Look at that little track on there. Nope, you're going up here around a little lake. All right, so yeah, I think all of these should be included on there, honestly. I think you should try and incorporate as many of those styles into your campaign as possible, because the thing is that you're gonna have players, you're gonna have all kinds of different kinds of you're going to have all different kinds of players in your game, and if you have players that are into that stuff, you want to appeal that to them. So I think that you need to have some stealth to appeal to the rogues, to the monks. You know, you need to have investigation to appeal to the wizards, and you know, to the intelligence-based characters. Hack and slash, you know, you need to appeal to the fighters, the barbarians, the monks, the rangers. Exploration, you need to appeal to the rogues, the rangers, to the druids. Diplomacy, you need to appeal to the bards. You know, this is where the bards really come into play whenever it's diplomacy play. And survival, you know, that just kind of goes hand in hand with everything. But if you're talking about hardcore survival, then yeah, that appeals to rangers and, you know, certain kinds of bards. Railroad tracks. Oh, this has a water feature. Sure. We'll have a train track down there eventually, once we get to that. Big open water. That's what I need. You know what? I'm just gonna fill this out for a second, and I'm gonna lose some pieces in this process. But do you want to put you in there? Yeah. I don't want to have such a big settlement. We already kind of have some of those. You know what? Where am I going to put you? Because you're actually a pretty nice little tile. Oh, we'll put you right here. That's right. I was kind of building this up a little bit to be a bit of a foresty kind of thing. I just want to have these. I want to fill out this lake real quick because I know how I want this to be, and I just don't want to sit around waiting for that right piece. There we go. You got a decent sized lake. All right. Which of these events would you like to see in an adventure? Please choose 5 max. Moral dilemma, the number 1, clearly. And following up behind that, you have infiltration, race against time, mass combat, travel, riddles. So infiltration, that's going in hand with that stealth. You know, people like that because it makes you kind of think more about what you're doing. It's one of those things of like, you know, you have those fail conditions. You kind of have to pre-plan and prep, and it's not just something, it's not just that common, oh, we're going in and we're just going to kill everyone. You know, that's the last, you know, that's the bad ending, so to speak. But race against time, it's always good to build onto that pressure of some kind of, again, some kind of fail condition. If you never give your players a chance to fail, they'll never actually feel a true success. Realistically, like if everything that your player is doing doesn't have real consequences, why are they doing it? You know, and I think I brought this up before, you know, with a question about a scenario that happened in one of my games, you know, and that's just the reality of it is if there's no consequences to your player's actions, you know, why even do it? And then travel and riddles. I actually don't really care much about travel encounters. I think they're fine to, you know, intersparse here and there, but I wouldn't go too crazy with them. Oh, sweet, we got a beaver dam. Look at that little beaver dam right there. Oh yeah, right outside the town. Nice little beaver town. Ooh, we got a little community building up here. Nice, nice. Oh, you're going in the forest. Putting you right in that corner. Oh, yeah. Damn cute piece. That's right. Oh. Nice. Do I have one? Oh yeah, right here actually. That totally works. Got this guy living out in the forest. This is his field. It's so weird to look at it this way. It's actually very confusing to look at it this way. All right. How do you feel about railroad adventures? I don't know. Let's ask this guy. Where is he going? Okay, so he's stopping down in this town, which is right along a fishing village. He's picking up some fish, dropping off. He was coming from this way, so he's probably dropping off some ore as well. Oh, he's picking up some ore. Maybe dropping off some stuff in there. Where are you heading? Okay, heading back. Maybe he's on a certain line. I like how only some of the houses have little smokestacks, so I imagine those are like factories and stuff like that. Oh, this guy, I think he's just moving stuff from there to there. No? Okay. What about you guys? What are you up to? Where are you going now? So he came this way, stopped down in town, went up around, picked up some ore, came back to town, dropped it off, and now he's heading up here. Fascinating. Kind of wish they had trains and cars. Yeah, I mean, train cars. Oh yeah, that'd be crazy. Look at this guy. Look at this little guy out here, living out there in those fields. Love this game. All right. So how do I feel about railroad adventures? And the next question is, how do you feel about sandbox adventures? I don't know if I've ever actually talked about this too much here on my stream, but my personal opinion is I believe players want sandbox games, but a player will sit in a sandbox waiting for a train to show up. Now, if you're unaware of, you know, the difference between sandbox and railroad, it's that a railroad game is one that's on rails. It's the DM has an idea in mind. They're kind of playing out an adventure that they have preordained a lot of the facets and events that are going to be happening. And so if it goes against the DM's plans, they're not really going to allow it. A sandbox, on the other hand, is where the players have full control over what happens in the campaign. So if the players, you know, if the players don't bring forward what they want to do, nothing will happen. Okay, the DM DM puts the whole onus into the player's hands. And personally, I think that causes I've seen that cause a lot of stress for some players, because a lot of players, they want a little bit of structure. They want some kind of grounding that they can, you know, grab onto and be guided a little and have choices. But the reality is you do have some players where it's just like, no, I don't want to be told, you know, what to do in this game. I want to have full autonomy over, you know, over everything that happens, and that's it. And, you know, these are the choices that I'm making, you know, regardless of anything else. And you know what? Some people like that. Some people are okay with that. I like there to at least be some kind of, you know, some kind of grounded idea of like, hey, this is going to be the main gist of the campaign, and you know, this is what I'm working with. You know, you guys can work with me with this, and we can make this, you know, an amazing adventure. And you guys will have opportunities to add into that. But this is what I'm working with. And it comes down to really like a social contract kind of a thing, where railroading and sandbox adventures, there is that perfect middle ground of like, you know, you guys can choose which path you want to go, but I have these moments. You're gonna have some stops along the way. but yeah, I remember hearing that for the first time. You know, players will sit in a sandbox waiting for a train to show up, and that just became like the cornerstone of my mentality with it, where it's like, yeah, you know, you have players that they want to do these wild and crazy things, and they want to have full control over everything, but the moment you give them that control, they just kind of sit there. And you know, it's kind of like what's that, the Joker, you know, you let a dog off their leash, you know, they don't know what to do, or something like that. I forget how that phrase goes. All right, I need to put a train track. We'll put it right there. Look at that. We're already up here. Let's build out this town a little. They won't know what to do with the train when they catch it. That's exact. Yeah, there you go. So, you know, you think you want a sandbox, but once you're in the sandbox, you know, you won't know what to do. You won't know, you know, where you want to go. We're going down this way. This train is going that way. All right, yeah. Which story hooks would you like to see in adventure? So our top one, stumbling upon a conspiracy, being accidentally drawn into a situation, and learning about something worth investigating. Yeah, beyond that, being hired, that's going to be one of the higher ones. Uncovered knowledge and threat to family, realm, or organization. And I think those are all the fairly common ones. I think that's what people think of whenever they think of adventures is, you know, you're out there, you stumble upon something that, you know, it's unknown. There's a lot of, you know, drama building up around it, and your players are at the heart of it. So you are going to have this opportunity to investigate and resolve it and uncover what's going on. It's kind of the way that my library game is panning out. You know, my players, ever since my players arrived in the town of Phandalin, because, you know, it's based on the Dragon of Icespire Peak campaign. But ever since my players arrived in Phandalin, they've been out exploring, doing some, you know, some of the odd jobs that come with that campaign. But they very quickly realize that there's something weird going on. There's these strange shadow magics that are going on. They fought a group of wolves that was being commanded by somebody, and those wolves, whenever they first started fighting, there, you know, everything was fairly normal. But when they actually ended up killing some of those wolves, what they realized is they turned into shadows and then poofed away. Or sorry, not whenever they killed them, whenever they when their like master left, because they confronted the one who had summoned them, and or had sent them down a mountain after them, and was like, whenever one of the players went to confront them, they found out, you know, nothing, and then this guy poofed away. And then the moment that happened, all of these wolves just suddenly disappeared. So they're like, well, you know, what the fuck does this mean? That, you know, that builds the drama for them, because now, you know, they don't know exactly what's going on. They don't know, you know, why it's like that. But in the most recent session, the players were investigating this old elven crypt, and while they were down there, they found this place that had kind of been buried for a while. And when they went to investigate, they were kind of confronted by the memories of their you know, their past, and these people in their past that were influential to who they are as a person today. And with that, they found out, you know, that there's some kind of shadowy organization that is in play right now, and it's kind of something that they were just like thrown into, but it's now something that they can explore, and they can investigate more and see where this is leading and see what adventure this has. But at the same time, they're still having to deal with the stuff that's going on in Dragon of Icespire Peak. They're still having to deal with the fact that there is a dragon attacking the area, and that they have that, you know, they still have some jobs to take care of, and that the town is not really safe from the dragon, but there's this now unknown looming threat that has, you know, who knows what kind of connection with the rest of the world. All right, so which story twist would you like to see in Adventures? The number one, deeper conspiracy revealed, and that's kind of exactly what I was talking about. You know, that was one of those things where in my library game, that's one of those things, like the players have stumbled upon some kind of unknown mystery that they're now getting wrapped up in, and was kind of one of the big purposes that I had with that one. You know, P5 kind of had that same thing. It kind of had a little bit of a same thing, but, you know, it was more of, you know, they were there in town. They got their name out. They started doing some of these jobs, and then eventually they were approached by one of the larger organizations and said, like, hey,
we have this problem, we would like your help in addressing it. And, you know, that leads them into that adventure, into what P5 is now dealing with the various cultists in their area. So, but on top of that, we have must collaborate with an enemy. We have must do something regrettable for the greater good, as well as betrayed by allies or those you have saved. Yeah, who knows how that'll play into stuff in any one of the games. Ooh, I got a nice little triangle track. Oh, we're gonna put that over here. Right. Where do we want this? Sure. Let's pop that over here. Can I end that there? I don't necessarily want to end that there. Kind of want this to come down. You know what? We're gonna end this here. Actually, no. Yes. End that there. Ooh, I don't know about that. Wait, what's that? Oh, we can have a little island if I get, you know what? There we go. Get a little island going. All right, what type of moral dilemmas would you like to see in adventures? We got the number one being solution or choice that also benefits the villain. Solution requires dishonorable action and conflict with your allies. And I think those go really hand in hand. That's, again, it's a very classic kind of adventure hook. You know, whatever the resolution that you're seeking could benefit your, you know, could benefit the enemy in the long run. So you kind of got to weigh your options. Maybe it's, you know, you have to ally yourself with them. Maybe your enemy has some kind of, you know, knowledge or information that is helpful to you, but you know that it's going to come at the cost of, you know, possibly betraying your own, you know, your own senses in a way where you normally wouldn't band yourself with this person or this group, or, you know, whoever it is. But, you know, right now you don't have much of a choice. So you got to do what you got to do. I'm going to put that there. I want to pick this back up, delete that. And I meant to put it that way. There we go. Now I got a nice little field there. Trees. No, we want trees over here. The big forest. All right. What types of endings would be best for the campaign? The final climactic fight with the arch villain. I think that's really about it. Everything else, one of these comes with the adventure. Righting wrongs, becoming immortal, finding something long lost, surviving, escaping from something. Yeah. I mean, I think fighting the main villain, fighting the big bad, you know, putting an end to their reign of terror, that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to be the hero in the end. What restrictions would you implement to hinder players during the adventure, if any? We have harsh weather as the main one, dimensional travel in any condition, such as shaken, frightened, and nauseated, madness and rage, or none. Players should not be restricted. I don't necessarily think people should be restricted. I think you should have basic, you should have basic things in the game that are understandable restrictions, you know. Oh my god, I didn't realize this X had a little railroad track end. That's crazy. A crazy piece. I mean, I think players should have some restrictions. I just don't necessarily think it's, you know, you should have anything out of the ordinary. You know, travel, you know, having to travel to faraway lands, that's understandable in a lot of cases. You know, you want to have your players have a motivation to move around and explore a bit rather than just sticking to one place. We gotta start locking down. I meant to turn that more.
Actually, you know what? There we go. Nice load. So big. Yeah, I think you should just have, you know, the basic, you know, hinderencing tropes. Harsh weather is going to be one of those easy ones to throw in, because every setting is going to have some kind of weather that you can just plop in whenever you need it. You know, Icewind Dale has its blizzards. Phandalin 5, or not Phandalin 5, wow. Anything from Dragon of Icespire Peak or the Phandalin area, if the players are traveling up into the mountains, you can have blizzards, but you can also have extreme rain, you can have drought, you can have anything you want that really fits the setting and also adds some kind of, you know, some kind of penalty on them. And I mean, even in the like the Neverwinter area, you have Mount Houghton now. You know, Mount Houghton now is one of those things that is a constant looming threat, and so you can have your players traveling to there, and they have to deal with the extreme heat conditions of, you know, do you have water? Do you have any kind of, you know, protection for your bodies? I mean, I think my players in P5 understand that eventually they're going to have to travel to Mount Houghton now, because, you know, they've heard the rumors. They, you know, they should know that, you know, there's something going on there. Ooh. More waters. Power's blink for a moment. Yeah, well. Powers to be. Oh my god. Oh no, I would want to put that there. Oh wait, no, I have this cool idea. I have this really cool idea. Okay, hold on. We're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna take this. We're gonna put you there. Fuck. Hold on. Can I take a water feature? No. Okay, hold on. Let's get rid of that. We're gonna grab a track. Fuck. Damn it. I wanted a cool, like, water-based thing there. Something like this. Could I put this here? Yes, I could. Oh, perfect. Oh my god, that's so fucking cool. Why can't I put anything there? Oh, that spot glitched. I can see it. Yep. It won't let me put anything there. I had this happen to me not too long ago, actually. There's another spot. It won't. Oh, maybe it will now. Maybe it will. Okay. Should be okay. Oh, sweet. Yeah, no, we still can't put anything there. We need body of water. Yep, we can't put anything there. Oh, it did work. Oh, thank God. But it fucked up. Okay, so hold on. I think it just saved, so we're gonna quit that for a second, and we're gonna get back into there because that piece glitched, and we just need to refresh the game. All right, how many factions, enemies, and allies are optimal? Some, a couple. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, you do want to have some, you know, present within your campaign, but you don't want there to be so many, and you don't want there to be none. You want there to be somebody that the players can have some kind of lean onto. Okay, let's grab a water feature. Booyah, there we go. That's cool. Kind of like that, you know, these being like fishing places, transporting stuff between them. And the thing is that I could actually get a... I could get like a straight piece maybe. Yeah, cool. There we go. You know what? Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, because now I can make a train coming out of the bottom of this. And have it go up and around here, and have a train come around here. I could even just end the water here. Like, that's already a fairly sizable plot of water. Don't know yet. All right, back to the questions. How many allied NPCs should there be in adventure? I think there should at least be a few of them that the players can... I've always kind of wanted there to be at least a dozen character NPCs that the players have the option to aligning themselves with, and that's just because you want there to be something that the players can play off of with some of the other NPCs. And something that you yourself can also play on. If your players don't have any ties to anyone in particular, then you don't really have you don't really have like anything you can pull off of them. So when you have NPCs that your players like, that gives you some bargaining chips to really play into. It's like, oh yeah, like, you guys are dealing with this problem, and it might not be a big deal to the players, but it's a big deal to this particular NPC, and the players really like this NPC, and it could spell disaster for that NPC if the players don't do something to intervene and to interject and to actually play a role in that character's life. So it becomes their responsibility to take this on. That's right, keep all the friendly NPCs alive. It's what you got to do. You're supposed to be heroes. You're supposed to be these adventurers, these people that everybody goes to know that they're going to be safe when they go to sleep at night, and you can exemplify that. It's gotta play your cards right. I gotta stop building out that water. I gotta build up this over here. I also gotta finish this like weird ass little river. Just gonna plop some stuff into here. Oh, I also gotta plug that hole. Get some train tracks. We're gonna drop you down. We're gonna connect you two eventually. Remembered about Iggy and his brief death. That's right. And that's the other thing, if you don't have NPCs, that you care about, when you do come to the reality of one of their deaths, does it, if you don't care about any of them, if you don't have anybody that you hold dear in that campaign, what's the point? You know, why does it matter, essentially, is something that you have to consider. You know, what are you doing it all for? You know, what's the reason for all of it? So it's about having those characters that make you want to invest in the story. So, and as a DM, you know, that's a thing that you have to employ. That's a thing that you got to put into that, and to, you know, to really build into your adventures. Give your NPC, or give your players an NPC that they can latch onto and love, and, you know, and hold dear, and hope that they can help them, and, you know, see them out on the good side in the end of it all. How many enemy NPCs should be there? I mean, I think that really depends on the kind of campaign that you're trying to run. If you want to have a campaign where it's you know, a giant cult that the players are having to deal with, you know, you can have a number of characters and then the main cult leader, and you could list that as like one person. But the thing is you can also have it be like an organization, you know, some large amount of people that they're enemies with, you know, overall. Am I making my edge forest line? I think I am. Well, that's kind of crazy to think about. Oh, that's crazy to think about, that I'm putting the edge of the forest in. Because once I do that, I could do straight lines. Put that there. We're going to put this there, and we're going to plop that in there. Good. Well, I'll say that's a 3-piece railway. Cool. I mean, I'm not imagining a never-ending railway, but to the same degree, that forest has to have an edge somewhere. I mean, it's not even fully filled in yet. Even if I were to cut it, you know, across here, this is a huge plot of land just in itself. Oh man. All right. What type of hostile organizations? Cult, number 1. Authorities of a nation, number 2. And religious order, which religious order is just another fancy way of saying a cult. You know, there's a certain threshold at which a cult becomes a religion, you know, and you just have to meet that, and then you're good. Oh man, I keep getting these.